Rochelle White, welcome. I'm sure that you guys have been waiting for me to show up. I'm normally not as late as this. I'm 6 minutes late. And sorry for that. I was brainstorming here with the young men that I have with me, young men and ladies. And we're trying to bring out the best title for this message. So the message of today is going to be called Lessons on How to Change the World from the Early Protestants. Or Americans say Protestants. So lessons on how to change the world from the early Protestants. Lessons on how to change the world. That is today, but learning from the early Protestants. All right, so we are here in the retreat in the Asian. So please, will you please help me welcome my audience?
Hello. Good morning.
So let's welcome each other. Please come alive.
Good morning.
Who is more excited? You are the one shouting.
Morning.
Welcome everybody. We're happy to see you all. So every one of you, wherever you are watching from, Australia, America, New Zealand, Nigeria, Ukraine, right? Europe, England, wherever you are watching from, we're saying welcome. We are here in Kyiv, Ukraine, and we are ready to take on the world. We are ready to take on the challenge of our generation, of our world, and the message of today is going to help us do that. Hello? My God. It's a chronic disease. Distracted all the time. You could never focus on what's going on. You be looking at me and what we are doing here, not your iPhone. But you need to get deliverance from phone. And I don't have one, thank God. I don't use phone. Because it's still small from you than it gives you. Okay. So welcome everyone. Your husband, Kakrasa. Your husband is just saying hi. So he came in the right time. Okay, so what's going to happen today? What's going to happen today is that I'm going to be teaching on this topic based on the research that I've done and that I've come to, the conclusion that I've come to. And this research, I've written it down, I've documented it, and I've written it down as an article. So I have an article here. I call it differently, but I'm just going to read some part of that article. And but we are going to have a lot to learn today. Ooh, we're going to have so much to learn, you'll be scared. Because it's a lifetime research. So I'm giving you at least 25 years of research here today. And but very compelling conclusions. Very compelling conclusions, very undeniable facts. And it's really going to revolutionize your Christianity if you are serious about that. And it's really going to equip you to take on your word if you are thinking about that. And it's going to help you to know what makes Christianity tick and why Christianity is the most influential religion right now and why Christianity is the leading, Christian nations are the leading nations in the world. Now, this particular message is, I was not planning to teach on this topic at all. I was not even planning to talk about this kind of thing. I wanted to talk more about principles that I've been talking about generally. I never planned to, I didn't want to do any historic stuff or reading stuff. I wanted to more like talk about what you could do in the new year to make your year, to get the result you want to have. That's basically what I wanted to talk about. But because of this HMT and the questions that are coming up, in particular, is it Blessing your name is? Yeah, you are the one I have the challenge with the name. What was the short one? The Ada. Okay, yeah, Ada is good for me. Yeah, so thanks to Ada's question yesterday, and I think that question from Ada will be able to. That's why I've decided to do this. And if you don't mind, can you reconstruct your question? Can you still formulate your question, or you forgot?
No.
Okay, I think basically what she was trying to say is that why is it that the leading Christians, the leading industrialists and people who brought about civilization in our world, and people, the scientists and the great minds of old were mainly Christians, like Isaac Newton and Galileo and all those kind of people. Why is it that they were Christians and now there are no more Christians mostly doing these things? And what happened? What is the message that people preached that time that gave birth and gave rise to Christians that ultimately changed the world? And why is it, what has changed? Why is it that today the message that we preach is rather making us to lay back, and not even be able to produce the same result that the old Christians were able to produce? Well, like I said, that everyone is as a result of the information that they are fed with. And every society is also a result of the information that they are fed with. Now, the old Protestants had a different message than the message that we have today. The old Protestants' message was capable and was cogent enough to be able to raise up those kind of men, Christians, that were capable of changing their generation. The messages of the old Protestants were strong enough and holistic enough and healthy enough that they were able to raise up the great minds, great men, and nation changers. But the messages that most of our churches preach today, they have totally been watered down, and they are a betrayal of the message that the early Protestant taught about. So the reason why the Christians of today would rather want to have instant gratification and get something for nothing and look for miracles instead of working out for their change is that is the message they are being fed with. So because of the message that they are being fed with, they are becoming people who cannot do anything, who cannot even make any difference in their world. So today, I want to expose to you the research that I have done about why 75%, actually it used to be 85% of all inventions in the world came from the Christian nations. Later on, other nations began to catch up, so it's reduced to 75% now. But all industrialization of the world is 75% Christian based. So what is the reason for that? And what message did they teach and preach that is different from what we are preaching today? So I have my able friend and helper here. That is Mrs. Ireti Ojekwa. She's going to help me to be reading my article, but it's better for someone else to read it so that I will be commenting it. I will be commenting on it better. So she's going to be reading the article, and I will be commenting and letting you know my thoughts on these things. But what I want you to do, both those ones at home and watching me on Facebook, and the people that are here, I want you all to be, I'm going to be mentioning points. Caroline, you remember the way I was mentioning points, and you will note down the numbers. Yeah, so this time you want to do the same thing. Maybe actually write down the points as well. Because here they are going to be maybe 100, but maybe 50, maybe 100 points. So, but I'm going to be talking them like sentences, but I will say the next point, because there will be so many numbers. I will not remember to say number 2, number 5 numbers, but I will just say the next point. So when I say point, next point, or something like that, always make sure that you get the main idea down, the main thought down. So here we are. Are you there, ma?
Yes, sir.
Is Frank ready? So Frank is my helper here. You see, do what is convenient for you. If you want, you could sit. If you want, you could stand.
I start first.
So you need to hear the Lord.
All growth depends upon
Please
activity.
louder.
All growth depends upon activity. There is no development physically or intellectually without effort. And effort means work. Calvin Coolidge.
Yeah, that's a quotation from Calvin Coolidge. Now, what it's basically saying here is that if you desire to have economic growth for your nation, because we are talking about countries that are mainly from Africa, or we are African countries here. Why is it that we are not experiencing growth? Why is it that Africa is not experiencing civilization, development, growth? Is that what you desire for your country? We all desire to have growth, to have development, to have, progress, and to experience dynamic growth so that we can catch up with the developed world. Now, for that to happen, there must be a propeller. And the propeller of any movement, of any change whatsoever, is the message that the country you are talking about, that the country you want to grow is being fed with. So who is feeding our nation, Nigeria, for example, or who is feeding your nation? For example, America. What is feeding America, or who is feeding America, is media. In America, it's just like the whole country has been conquered by media. It's like if you say the influence of the media in America is like 75%, while the influence of other church is like 25%. But in Nigeria, it's the opposite. Even the people in the media, they go to church. Everybody is going to church. Even all those actors we are watching on your Hollywood, they have some pastors. So Nigeria what is feeding the country is the church, the pulpit, either Christian religion or Muslim religion, but it's still the church, the pulpit. So whatever we have today, whatever result we have today, is as a result of the messages that we are being fed with as a nation from our pulpit. So if the message of today is not giving us civilization and development that we so much desire, it means we are not being fed with that material, with that kind of message. It means that the message we are being fed with is not capable of delivering development, progress, and civilization to us. So, which means that the message from our pulpit must change to correspond with the outcome that we're expecting. It's just like saying that you have decided to cook. Let's say you have decided to do orange juice, to drink orange juice. But you are not putting orange juice into the juice, whatever. Into the juicer. You are not putting orange juice into the juicer. So what will come out? It is the apple you are putting that will come out. But you are saying, but it's not apple you want to drink, it is orange juice you want to drink. So why don't you put orange in the thing? I don't know if you are getting it. The kind of information that we are releasing from our pulpit, feeding our nation with, determines the kind of nation you have, the outcome that we have. Now, the kind of message that we have right now is that of quick fix, instant gratification, getting something for nothing, miracles, breakthroughs. You don't need to do anything, God will do everything. You cannot do anything, I'm powerless, only God. If you are saying we cannot do anything, or only God can do everything, then you are powerless, then you will not do anything. Only God can do it, then we are waiting on God to come and do it. But it will not happen. God will not come and build your industries. God will not come and build a bridge. God will not come and bring your dams. God will not come and build your factories. God will not come and build your processed food. God will not come and build your roads, infrastructure. God will not. And you say, we cannot do anything. No, only God can help Nigeria. Only God. That is the message we have been preaching. And when you say only God, you are automatically passing down the message. On the left, you are not saying it like that, don't do anything. But subconsciously, that is how human beings are made. You don't put faith in your effort. And anything that you don't put faith in, it will never work. Because without faith, every activity is dead. Faith without work is dead. So if you are doing something, you don't have faith in it, it's dead. It will not yield the result. Because you don't really believe that it's what you do that can cause the change. You think that no matter what you do, it's only God that can bless it or can cause change. But when it comes to living on earth, to make you listen, when it comes to living on earth, I had said this before, and some of my viewers on Facebook, some of them were so pissed off, they couldn't believe it. Their religious mindset was so shaken that some of them got mad at me. In fact, some of them left. But either they leave or they come back or they never come back. This truth is still true. This truth I'm about to say is still the truth. Now, listen carefully. It's a very heavy one. I suppose that some of you will not take your bag and go home. But in your mind, you might do that after that. When it comes to life on earth, because God has done an excellent job from his side and has provided everything that is needed for life and godliness, and he has put everything needed in nature and creation. Now, when it comes to life and functioning, existing on the earth, don't be afraid before I say, brace yourself. When it comes to life on earth and ruling and functioning and living well on earth, when it comes to good life on earth, successful life on earth, when it comes to ruling and reigning on earth, if you want, I'm not talking of heaven, no. I'm talking of ruling and reigning on earth. Not just surviving on earth, but ruling and reigning. When it comes to ruling and reigning on earth or here, we all, and you too, you need more faith in yourself than in God.
Yes.
So when you preach to a people that only God can save Nigeria, only God, without God we cannot do anything, no. If God doesn't bless, what can you do? It's God, it's only God. You are not cultivating faith in yourself that what you do matters, or what you will do will make a difference. You are rather saying that no matter what you do, that it doesn't matter, it's irrelevant. That's what you are saying. And if you are saying whatever you do is irrelevant, it means you don't have faith in your ability to be able to create a change. So then you are not the one hoping to bring a change to your own society, to your own life, to your own family, to your own country, but you have made yourself incapacitated. You have made yourself like a paralyzed person, paralytic, and then you are now having a lot of faith in God so that God will do it. But it will never happen, no matter what faith you have in God. No, God will not come from heaven to come and do what he has already asked you to do here. He Even that God you are talking about, he doesn't have hands. He doesn't have feet. Oh, even eyes he no get for here. You wear his eyes, wear his feet, wear his arms.
Amen.
Yeah, I know you are running into trouble with that assertion. Yeah. We are processing it. But you will grow up. One day you might get there. Some people will never get there. But some of you might get there one day. So to change our nation, we must begin to preach a message that makes our people to believe in themselves, in their ability to be able to turn things around for good in their nation. Instead of just saying only God. Because that incapacitates them and makes them to only wait for God to come and do miracle. So that is one change. I said that, you're starting with points now. That's point number 1. So you remember I told you that I will be saying next point. So that's 1 right there. Right? So we must change our message to let not just the number but the point as well, right? Yes. Write that down. Okay. So we must let our people know. Our messages must begin, our ministers and churches, if we are to regain the secret of the Protestants, if we are to regain the power that helped the Protestants to build the modern civilization and to change the whole world, what message did they have? What did they preach? One of the things that we must change today in our churches is the message of the fact that only God can do everything. Only God can do this. Only God can. And when I begin to talk like this, people say, how can you say God cannot do anything? No. What do you mean God cannot do anything? He's the Almighty God. He can do everything. But he will not violate his own principle. He will not come against himself. He will not come and do what he has asked you to do.
Yes, sir.
He has established it like that.
Yes,
in that my book, Only God Can Save Nigeria, I quoted a scripture here from Psalms 115 verse 16, where it says, even the heavens are the Lord's. That's his word. That's his principle. He's not asking you to come and fix heaven for him. He does that. But when it comes to the earth, you are not supposed to be depending on him to come and fix the earth for you. You do that. So that's why it says even the heavens are the Lord's, but the earth he has given to the children of men. So because he has given to the children of men, why we Christians are saying we cannot do anything? Unbelievers also are children of men. Yes. Thank God they are saved and insulated from those messages, and that is their biggest advantage. Yes. So why we are saying we cannot do anything? The unbelievers, they didn't get to know that they cannot do anything. They are busy conquering the world. They are busy coming up with Apple. They are busy coming up with Microsoft. They are busy building jets. They are busy building industries. There are countries that don't believe in Christ, don't believe in the gospel that we believe in, the way we believe, they don't preach. Japan, with their Buddhism of Confucianism, they are busy building a great nation. China, with their communism, they are busy building a great nation. They are busy doing this. Because the earth has been given to men, to the children of men. They are busy managing the earth. We are the ones who are supposed to know better. We are the ones who know that this thing is written here. But they just came to it through their own understanding. But we have the word of God and we are the ones to manage. But because of our pseudo Christianity and faith and messages that we are preaching, we have even contradicted the word of God itself. Because in Genesis chapter 1 verse 26, it says he gave you power and authority, and he said, create man in our own image and all that, to have dominion over the bird, the animal, everything. But then he says to rule and dominate and have dominion over the whole earth. We are to be managing the earth. We are to rule and reign over the whole earth. We are the ones to rule. He didn't say, I give you authority. to rule and have dominion over the earth after you pray to me. I give you authority only after prayer. Or I will give you authority to pray that I will come and do it. That is why the people who are really ruling on earth today, they are people who don't pray. Because God does not demand that for you to rule on earth. And God does not demand that you be religious or you even believe in God for you to reign on earth. Why? He has given it to all the sons of men. It doesn't matter. Believe how you don't believe, even if you don't recognize God, He has already, is in innate power and authority that He has already given to you. Huh?
He says sons of men, not even sons of God.
Not even believers. Yeah. Sons of men, not even sons of God. So why we have just turned the whole world upside down, turned the Bible upside down. But I will tell you today how the Christians, the early Christians, the early Protestants, how they preach the same gospel. You will know that the gospel that you know today, the Christianity that you think you know today, is not the same Christianity that the early Christians preached. It's not even the same Christianity that the Protestants preached. But the people we are going to examine today are the Protestants, because they are the ones responsible for our civilization today. Please open the... Yeah. They are the ones responsible for our civilization today. So what did they preach that was so strong that made them to change the whole world, and for the whole world to become almost Christian nation today? I mean, everybody is enjoying their civilization today. What happened in Europe? What did they preach? Because everything came from their pulpits. So the first thing is that I want you to note is that particular quotation from Calvin Coolidge. He says, all growth depends on activity. So another message that must change in our pulpit is we must replace messages of miracles, all these kind of breakthroughs, waiting on God to receive the will of God or leading of God, or for God to speak, all kind of spiritual things that make you to wait, and replace it with the message of action.
Yes.
Because we are not men of faith until we are men of action.
That's true, sir. That's true.
Only when we are men of action do we really are we really men of faith and believers. We are not believers when we don't act. We are not believers when we are waiting on God every time. Can you imagine how many people in churches are waiting on God? Can you imagine how many people in church are saying, I'm waiting for confirmation? That God has, no, I'm not sure. God has asked to speak. I am waiting. Thank God there are unbelievers in this world who are not waiting. They are just doing it. Otherwise, the world will come to a standstill. So any kind of message that's making you to wait for miracle, wait for confirmation, wait for revelation, wait for signs, wait for breakthrough, must be replaced. Because faith without action is what? Dead. So the messages that are coming from our pulpit, now must be that is geared towards action, letting men know that until you walk, until you think, until you do research, until you read, until you go and study, until you do something, that no matter all the anointing that we are praying over you, or word of prophecy or prophetic utterances or whatever they are saying, that nothing will come to pass. But right now what we are telling them is that no, it doesn't matter what you do, we must come for that blessing, and it's the blessing that matters. The work doesn't matter. That's what we are saying right now. I tell you, that's what I'm pushing right now. But that must change. It must change to the fact that all growth and all development depends only on actions and activities. There is no development, physically or intellectually, without efforts. We must begin to emphasize the next one, the individual efforts of our people. We must begin to emphasize and preach and underline and preach so strongly the importance of individual efforts, and efforts means work. We must begin to emphasize work from our pulpit, and all nations, the Muslims and the Christians, mosque and mosque and churches, all of them must begin to preach this message. Our country must be saturated with the message of work, hard work. Then wonder will happen. Development will begin to take place. Okay, let's keep on reading, madam.
Social scientists don't doubt the fact that the European civilization, which is the civilization of the whole world, enjoys today, was as a result of...
Come again.
Social scientists don't doubt the fact that the European civilization, which is the civilization the whole world enjoys today, was as a result of the direct teachings of the Protestants.
So I don't even need to argue that. Everybody knows that the modern civilization that we are having is the Christian civilization. This civilization that we are enjoying today is what came out after the Protestant revolution. I mean, not revolution, it's called Reformation, and the Renaissance in Europe. So the Renaissance and the Reformation, that is what gave birth to modern day civilization. And it's this civilization that is gone all over the world right now. So everybody knows that, yes?
Yes. The need to write this article about the Protestant ethics and the role they played in the history of our civilization becomes more and more apparent to me as I look around the world and see the kind of messages that are being preached by our modern day Protestant Christians, Baptists, Pentecostals, Charismatics, and so on.
So you see, I'm just asserting to you the same thing I've said. What I've written in this article is that the reason I decided to do this research is because I see that the messages that Christians today are preaching don't correlate. So I wanted to find out what is the difference between what we are preaching today and what the early Protestants preached. Yes.
In all things, showing yourself to be a pattern of good works. In doctrine, showing integrity, reverence, incorruptibility. Titus 2:7.
Your Titus 2:7 is emphasizing, is confirming this, that the message, so this is the biblical message. The message of work, effort, personal responsibility, and all that is inherent in Christianity. But when we are now overemphasizing miracle, breakthrough, and we are just putting all that to the back burner about the need for work and hard work and zeal and diligence and everything, as if it's not even in the Bible anymore, we do a disservice to ourselves, to our nations, and to our generation.
If the teachings of the early Christians changed Rome and the entire Roman Empire, we can't point to any great change that the teachings coming from our pulpits today are producing upon our world in general.
So you say that even before the early Protestants, let's go back even. Let's go back to the early Christians. What is it that the early Christians preached that made them to subdue the greatest power that had ever lived before them, the Roman Empire? America has been a nation for like 200 years and has been superpower like for 60 years. England was like superpower like for 400 years. Maybe, 300, 200 years. No empire ever lived to be superpower for almost 1,000 years. Only Roman Empire. So it is the greatest, most enduring power that ever was. Stronger than we see America today. But a small group of Christian believers, who were equipped with the weapon of the word and the truth of God and faith in their hearts. This small group of Christians, starting with 12 of them, they were able to penetrate into the biggest, the most powerful military force, the biggest economic power, political power of that era, Roman Empire. Roman Empire ruled half of the world. with their own governors all over the place. And Christianity, what did they preach that turned around Roman Empire on its head until the old empire collapsed and Christianity kept on going strong? What is it that they preach? What power was in Christianity that changed that kind of empire, that kind of power and force? Because they preached the right gospel, you see. And we today, we cannot even shake our city. Some people cannot even change their gospel, cannot even change their village. Talk less of their country. Talk less of the whole world. Paul was testifying and said that he had preached and subdued all of Asia to God in Romans 15. And they were not going to Europe in one generation. So what did they know? What did they preach that we don't know today? Because that message of instant gratification, that message of blessing, that message of we cannot do anything, only God can do anything, everything is an anti-Christian gospel that is doing more harm to Christianity. Even though God is a miracle worker, even though God, is a healer, is a miracle worker, but we don't look for miracles in Christianity. That's not the message. Those people believe in miracles, so the early Christians, they had more miracles than we are having today. But the miracles were following them. They were not running after from one place to the other for looking for miracles. That's the difference. And he even said it, that these signs shall follow them that believe. But today, we are the ones, we are the searchers and the lookers. We are the ones looking everywhere to the end of the earth for miracles and for blessings. It's the wrong gospel. So, even the early Christian faith, we saw the power of Christianity. We need to regain it back. So that's another point why we must change our message.
If the teachings of the Protestants in Europe gave birth to the Protestant ethics and the modern civilization, it becomes alarming that most of our charismatic
the early Christianity gave birth to the conquering of Rome and the old Roman Empire, and the middle Christianity that the Protestants gave birth to modern civilization. So it means Christianity has power, not just power to heal. Because those days, even though they had power to heal also, but they were emphasizing more the power to change nations, the power to change the world, the power to subdue the earth. That's why Jesus was saying, go and make disciples of all nations. Even though he had power to heal, but he was emphasizing the power to change nations. Then he said, go and make disciples of all nations. Even though he had power to do deliverance, but he was not talking about deliverance. That same power should be the one that is used to disciple all nations and the whole world. So their emphasis are not individualistic. They are rather global. So emphasis must change is another point that we must also know. Emphasis of our messages today must change from individualistic emphasis on blessings, my personal blessing, my personal breakthrough, my personal healing, my personal this and this, into global, universal blessing. Yes, please.
It becomes alarming that most of our charismatic teachings today mainly concentrate on individual aggrandizement. The kind of gospel that our churches are preaching sometimes are not powerful enough to change the very street where these churches are located.
Say that again, louder please.
The kind of gospel that our churches are preaching sometimes are not powerful enough to change the very street where these churches are located, talk less of the nation where they are.
Because even sometimes, it's not just one church that is in one street though. So I think you can say that church is weak, that's why they couldn't change the street. What about if there are 10 of them, 10 churches in one street, and yet the street cannot be changed? This means there is something fundamentally wrong with the message we are preaching. Yeah.
We're not even going to throw the challenge of changing a whole generation before the modern day church. This generation of believers don't even know what that means. The basic teachings of the Protestants was all surrounding values, ethics, and morals. The Protestants' teachings affected the view of the populace to work. Through their teachings, they dignify even the most mundane professions. According to them, any professional work that adds to the common good of man must be respected and it is dignified. They taught the Protestants that every work is sacred as long as the believer does it to the Lord.
Okay, now, this is the biggest emphasis of the Protestant teaching. This is not the biggest emphasis of the early church, but we are talking about, like I said, the Protestants, okay? So in this article, I'm writing more about the Protestants, okay? Because that's closer to us, and that is what we're looking at. They change their world in terms of civilization, not just in terms of subduing them to faith, but in terms of conquering every sphere of life, all right? So what is it that they mostly emphasized? I will still give you all other teachings that they did, all their doctrines. I will give you all the doctrines of the Protestants. But the most fundamental doctrine that the Protestants had, the overwhelming one, the all-encompassing, the more comprehensive teaching that they had, the basic one, is the fact that they will teach about values, ethics, and morals. Right? That's one. Values, ethics, and morals. They were strong on these things. Just like we are strong on miracles today, that is how they were strong on values, ethics, and morals. We need to go back to that. We need to restore that if things are to change. Next one. That is still good, but that is in general. But more concretely, what particular value do they emphasize above all other values? The Protestant teaching affected the view of the populace in their view to work. It is the most important value system that they emphasize. Work. And they call it the dignity of labor. They did everything to dignify any kind of work. They dignify any kind of labor. So it doesn't matter if you are a cleaner of the toilet or cleaner of the street or you are the prime minister, they view every work as very important, and no one is less important than the other. So the dignity of labor was their most important value system that they. So through their teachings, they dignify even the most mundane of professions. According to them, any profession or work that adds to the common good of man, that if your work is not stealing, is not subtracting from the common good of humanity, but anything you are doing, if it's adding to the common good of man, that it deserves to be honored, that work is dignified. It must be dignified. That work has dignity in itself. Everybody must respect you. Everybody must honor you. So they said every work must be respected and every work is dignified. They taught their believers in their churches that every work is sacred as long as the believer does it to the Lord. So the way they taught is this. They were teaching that the way to serve God is to go and get something to do, work. So the way we are teaching today, that the way you are to serve God, that you must serve in church, that's what we are saying now. That's another thing to change. We are teaching now that the way to serve God, to please God, is to do something in church. But the way they were teaching is that the way to please God is to discover the gift that is in you, the talent, and in your profession. They were not talking too much about your purpose, but they were talking about your job. We now talk a lot about purpose, but they call it job, your work. So any work that you have, they say you must do it as if you are serving God in the church. So just like the priest is serving God. So for them, full-time ministry is what you are doing. Just like people we are telling people now that they must get full-time ministry. You must go to Bible school. You must become a pastor or ordained. For them, it's the same ordination like the priest or pastor will have. It's the same ordination that you have to do your work that you are doing. And with the same passion and love for God that the priest and the people in church are carrying out their duty, that is with the same passion and love that you should carry out your own work as a cleaner or as a carpenter or anything you are doing. So can you imagine if every Christian in Nigeria is being taught that their acceptance before God depends on how good they do their work and their job at their places of work, and how good the work they do is unto the Lord. How much can they prove that work they have done their very best? Buildings will not be collapsing, planes will not be dropping, toilets will be working, toilet paper will not disappear. Finishing touches will be in the houses. Empires, I mean, whatever. Mansions will not just be sitting down there and inside is just full of cracks. You know, everybody will be doing their work to the best of their ability as unto the Lord. Can you imagine that every church will be preaching this? Isn't that written as well? That's one of the most important points. That every church will be preaching that everything you are doing, you must do to the best of your knowledge. Even though it's written in the Bible like that. That everything you do as unto the Lord. But they preach it as a doctrine. But they preach it also not just as a responsibility that you should do it as unto the Lord. But they also preach it as from the aspect that thing you are doing is not just accepted before God. But that thing you are doing, the society recognizes it. That work you are doing, it doesn't matter how mundane it looks, that the society, they made sure that the society honor that work, anybody's work, and that your work has dignity. They convince all Christians to look at their work, no matter what it is, with dignity, to see themselves as dignified because they are working for the Lord. They taught them as that they were soldiers of the Lord in their workplace. That they should work as if they are military men, as if they are soldiers. That nobody will, that is called to the army of God should engage himself with vanity. That they shouldn't have any form of vanity in their work. They should do it as soldiers of the Lord. That's why they were able to build Europe, industrial Europe. Everybody was doing their best. Everybody was doing excellent job. They were teaching them that if you do a share like this, that it should last for 2 or 3 generations to come. Anything you do must last for the next 2 generations. Wow. Those are the kind of teachings they were being given. Can you imagine? Wow. So that the road in Nigeria will last for 2 to 3 generations. My grandchildren, wow. The airport, the aircon, everything. That is what brings about quality. And that's what brings about industrialization and quality production. Somebody must adopt this and begin to teach it again. We must start movements, mass movement, civil movement, not just in churches, but even as civil organizations, to begin to campaign for these values again. And this is how we could bring about hope. And this is how we could use Christianity to affect our world again and to change our nation, bring about development and civilization. Right.
In their churches, the Protestants taught believers to go out of the 4 walls of the church to demonstrate their love for God by how they serve fellow humans. The emphasis of the churches were not in how much work or homekeeping is done in the 4 walls of the church itself. They rather told the Protestants to go prove their love to God at their workplaces through the quality of their works.
See the difference? That's another major, it's a similar thing I've just said, but it's a major difference. Today, we are telling people that the best way for them to prove God, to God that they love God, to prove their love to God is when they come to church. So we are making people to come to church almost every day now. But that time, it is on Sundays you come back to church. Maybe unless you have some other things to do in church midweek. But the place where you place God that time was regarded not as church. Not as the church. The place where you please God, the place you can please God is your place of work. Do we need that today? That is how we could regain back the lost significance of the Christianity.
It is believed that every work you do is unto the Lord, and your love to God must show in the quality of your product. This led to a drive in everybody to do their best and produce the best possible qualities. As a result, these products were the best in the market. Eventually, they became the best in the world, bringing revolution to the European economy.
See, you get what I'm saying? When you are being taught that anything that you produce this pen, it must last for 3 generations. When you are being taught that everything you produce, this your crochet or whatever you call it, must last as much as possible. Not just for 1 month, but must last for 3 years. Anything that you do, clothes, It must last not just for 2.5 years, but for 10 years. Anything that you do then you begin to do so much quality. This is the key to qualitative production. When people fear not men, not police, not the law, not money, but when people are more afraid of God and they know that whatever they are doing as unto the Lord. So they were taught that these services they are producing and these goods they are manufacturing, that they are doing it as unto the Lord, and they must do to the best of their knowledge. That is how the economy began to, because what happened was that everybody all over the world started coming to Europe to buy European products because they were reputable for having not a bad product. Now, this is your message, then you go take them back to Abba. You know? Okay. That's what we are taking back to Abba, both to the governor and to the Abba boys. Who is from Onitsha? Is anybody from Onitsha here? Or from Anambra State? Anambra. Okay. You are going to take this, we people have to take this back to over there because they are doing fake about. Everywhere. So we must take back the real stuff. So can you imagine if everything that's been produced in Aba, is lasting for generations to come. Yeah. We are going to, the Chinese will be coming to us to buy. Because everything depends on the philosophy that you put into what you are producing. So the philosophy that they put into what they are producing was the philosophy that we are doing everything as unto the Lord. And then it must be the very, very best in the world. So what happened was, nobody likes to be skewed. Nobody wants to, like for example, you see that this fine. Who noticed the change in this thing I just brought now? Who noticed the change? Black. Because the white one that I bought, I lasted just 1 week. Last week. Yes, and I've been spending. Okay, that one was 800. No, 2 of them I bought 800 grivni or something like that. So in the last 3 months I've bought like 10 of these. But one American guy came to Ukraine and went to the shop and bought real one. I will show you. You have to come to me. I will show you how it bought. So he gave me his own. He went to buy a Ukrainian made one, but not this one. This one they want to make you look as if they are Apple, but it's worse. But the Ukrainian, just normal Ukrainian something, which must anyway. So this is fake. Nobody wants to do. I feel cheated. I don't want to buy anything like this again from them anymore. Why? Because every week I'm buying 1,000 grivni. And it's not good. So, but I want to buy once and for all, so that it will work, for as long as possible. That is the way everybody is. So when Europeans now started producing quality things that were lasting and better and serving better than everybody else, people from all over the world, Europe became the destination. Before it was the Europeans driving all over the world to sell their things and to explore and get things. People started coming to Europe. Everybody wanted to buy things that were made in Europe. It's all coming as a result of the teachings of the Protestant churches. Do we need that kind of teaching in our own church?
Yes.
So the people who say that I've lost my mind, that I'm not quoting the Bible every day and saying, Jesus went from Nazareth to Capernaum, and the woman with tissue of blood and said he'll be. You don't just tell stories. Yeah. Let's know how to apply it. Okay.
The most revolutionary aspect of this teaching, however, is the fact that the Protestants began to look for ways and means to serve God better through inventions, through discoveries, researches, sciences, factories, industries, leading to, at first, up to 90% of all inventions of the world coming from the Protestant world. Up till recently, 75% of all inventions from the time of the Industrial Revolution is credited to the countries where Protestant ethics were taught. The dilemma of the European economy before the capitalist teachings was the fact that when
wait. The most revolutionary aspect, that's another point, of this teaching, however, is the fact, because this kind of teaching brings about revolution.
Yes, sir.
This emphasis on, serving God with the works of your hands. Serving God with what you produce. And doing the best through the works of your hand for God. It brings about revolution. It will bring about revolution in our country too. It will bring about industrial revolution, but we must make sure that it permeates the whole society. Churches, schools, colleges, everyone must know that this is a national value. Okay? So the most revolutionary aspect of this teaching, however, is the fact that the Protestants began to look for ways and means to serve God better through inventions. Why? What led them to inventions? Because the Protestants began to teach in the churches that that we were made in the image of God and likeness of God. And that if God is the creator of everything we see, that we are his image, we are also co-creators with him. That everybody should begin to think of what they could create. And how they could use creativity to serve God. So they were using creativity, they were using their mind to look into them, to look for ideas of what they could do like God. Because they have been taught that they have carried God's image. They have been taught that they are like God. That if God is the creator, that was the quality of God that they all emphasized so much. That they didn't emphasize so much other things like maybe love or something, but they emphasized the fact that God is the creator. He's the Almighty. So, and he's in you, and he wants to be like you. He made you in his own likeness. So you too will be like him. Can you imagine if we begin to tell every Nigerian that they could create something, that they could invent something? So that led to discoveries in Europe, a lot of discoveries, so much that 90% of all discoveries in the world were coming from these churches. Inventions, discoveries. They started doing researches. They started developing science. They started developing factories, industries, etc. And that is how the Industrial Revolution was birthed. That is the birth of Industrial Revolution. Being co-creators with God.
The dilemma of the European
So for us to give back to our own Industrial Revolution, we must feed our people. We must saturate our societies, our churches, our schools with this kind of knowledge that we are all God's image and God's likeness. We could do what he has done at the way he does it.
The dilemma of the European economy before the capitalist teachings was the fact that
Again.
the dilemma of the European economy before the capitalist teachings was the fact that when landowners employed laborers, they could not make these laborers give their best. The only incentive.
What I'm in this article here now, this particular point, I want to paint for you a contrast from this moment. I want to paint a picture of contrast to you so that you know that Europe was not always like this. Europe used to be like, it used to be worse than Nigeria at this point. England was worse. Germany was worse than Congo, Zaire. It was worse than Nigeria. You go and read history. Go and do your own research. People were dying in the streets of London and nobody to pick them up. Stinking, dying. People, dead body everywhere. Prostitution. At a point, I think it got to almost 30% of the whole population of Great Britain was involved in, women, young population was involved in prostitution. Just for you to know how bad things were. Drunkards. Just like Nigeria today, that's the way it was. Only like 1% of the population had all the money. All of Europe. They were aristocrats. Rich and wealthy people. While the masses, 90-something% of the masses were just slaves. Serfs. Yes, and dependents, poor, drunkards, lazy. Worse than Nigeria now. So what happened? Make we read. Start that paragraph again.
Okay. The dilemma of the European economy before the capitalist teachings was the fact that...
So before these Protestant teachings, because why do I use the word capitalist there? Because the Protestant teachings is regarded as the birthplace of capitalism. Because responsibility for work. That's what they believe gave birth to the modern capitalism. Yes. So before these teachings, what happened?
The only incentive that was widely known and used...
before the dilemma. There was a dilemma in the European economy before the teachings.
Okay. The dilemma of the European economy before the capitalist teachings was the fact that when landowners employed laborers, they could not make these laborers give their best.
So who are the landowners? Those were the 1% of people who had money. Just like today in Nigeria also, the few people who have money. So, but every other person was just like slaves to them. So the people were protesting, and the way they were protesting is that the landowners, the capitalists, the owner, they couldn't get them to work because nobody wants to be slave working for other people. You get it? So that was the dilemma. The dilemma was that the laborers would not like to work. They couldn't give their best. They didn't want to give their best. The only incentive that was widely known and was used that time was that, okay, if you do more, we will pay you more. Just like today also. Do more, we will pay you more. So they were just trying to say, okay, it's money. That through money you could change people. But they discovered that also didn't work. And this is reminiscent of what you were telling me, that those people just need some money first. But it is not the money that is the problem, it's the value that is the problem. Because when they begin to get money, they will first of all do better in the beginning as an incentive. Then when they are used to getting it, they will relax back again, they will fall back again and begin to ask for more again. So money is never the ultimate solution. The ultimate solution is the value system. Because even though those capitalists and those landowners were giving money and to incentives, but they always came back to the same conclusion that it always lapsed back again, come back to the same place. And there was no solution until Protestants came with their teachings. Yes, please.
The only incentive that was widely known and used was an increase in wages, thinking that when there is an increase in wages for laborers, the laborers are supposed to view their works as more valuable and so work longer and harder. However, in the real sense, the laborers often spent less time working and not hard because the reason that they were being paid as well anyway.
More valuable than money. So we must begin to teach these things in our churches, that values are more precious than monetary gains. Yes, please.
They would rather go and drink. Go drink and
go back again.
Okay. However, in the real sense, the laborers often spent less time working and not hard because the reason that they were being paid as well anyway. They would rather go drink and leisure. Okay. However, in the real sense, the laborers often spent less time working and not hard because the reason that they were being paid as well anyway.
The reason they were being paid well,
No, that they were being paid well anyway. Now they have increase, yes. So they would rather
they were being paid well
anyway. Yes, okay. Yes.
So why you work harder? I already have my salary. Let me go and drink.
Yes.
Okay.
They would rather go drink and leisure.
So you understand, that's the same thing I just explained to you, right? That money is not the ultimate solution. Values are. So in Nigeria now, everybody is telling me, oh, it's because of the economy. No money. If they could just solve this money problem, if they would just fix the economy, let money begin to flow. You will see another Nigeria. If money begins to flow, everything will be okay. No. The only problem Nigerians have is money. If the actual is resolved, we don't have any problem. Everything will just be okay. Myth. It's a myth. It's a myth. It's a deception. Money and monetary things and physical things don't give lasting solutions. Material and visible things are only temporal. Only values, the invisible qualities, values last for time and eternity. value system is what we need, not more money. More money will come as a result of value. Values bring money, but money brings loss of values. Values is what bring money. Why money, the abundance of money brings loss of value. Yes.
It is this attitude that made Germany to be known as a country of lazy drunks.
Can you believe it that Germany used to be known as a country of lazy drunks? That used to be their name. Germany today is the most disciplined country in the world, at least in Europe. You know, as a result of what? Protestantism, because it started from there. Martin Luther, they started teaching. From the country of drunks and dirty drunks, lazy drunks. They used to be known as for two things: laziness and drunkenness. Germany. So if that is possible to turn around in Germany, it is also possible to turn around in Nigeria. Yes, sir. So what is it that will turn it around? Teachings, the right information, the right spread, and of information, value system.
Okay, but the Protestant teachings changed all that because people viewed their work. Okay, it is this attitude that made Germany to be known as a country of lazy drunks who don't wish to work. But the Protestant teachings changed all that because people viewed their work as a way of proving their love to God, so they try to do their best and give the best quality to God by giving the best quality to man.
You see? So that is what is missing in the church today. We don't have this today anymore. Listen to this again. People viewed their work as their way of proving their love to God. They view their work as their way of proving their love for God. They view their work, not their tithe and offering like today. Today, the way they want you to prove your love is only through your giving. Prove your love through your giving. Prove your love through your giving. Give this thing more. Give them more of this. Second offering, third offering. I saw somebody here. 1,000 people here. $1,000. 28th of December. It means 28,000, 1,000, 2,000, something. All kind of manipulation. We want people to prove their love to God through giving. But in this place, people were taught to prove their love for God by giving through their work, by doing their best, and by giving the best quality to man. By doing their best, producing the best quality for their fellow men. That is how they prove their love for God. You prove your love for God by proving your love for man, by doing your best and the best quality to man, to your fellow man. That is how they do their work for God by doing it for their fellow men, by providing the best quality. But today, the only relationship we have with our fellow men is to find out how to trick them faster, what trick to use to be able to get the money out of it and not give him anything back. But those days is the best quality of product that you could produce to give to your fellow man is what proves your love for God. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, go ahead.
One major teaching of the Protestants that we, the Protestants of today, must go back to is the fact that the European Protestants did not emphasize fivefold ministry the way we do today. Today, our teaching on the fivefold ministry only tends to view only those called to the fivefold ministry as those called to be ministers, while the rest of the congregation is just viewed as laity who just go to secular jobs. The way the early Protestants taught, on the other hand, is that everybody is a full-time minister in their various places of work. They went to the extent of saying your job, profession, occupation is your calling. Wow. So you're actually fulfilling your calling by going to work and giving your best. Hence, the Protestants go to work not just for the money, Their biggest motivation for work is service to God and man, not the interest to gain profit or make money.
Hallelujah! Do we need that today?
Yes.
Success, come here, tell me. How would that change Nigeria?
Wow.
If we get this message today.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Pastor. Really, at this time, I have no doubts within me that the national transformation of Nigeria is very simple and is very possible. And I'm believing God that God will raise every one of us right now as change agents. I don't know all of the things as we're listening to Pastor, the things, the projects, the ideas that are running through our minds. Let's begin to pull them down, because those things are possible, and we are going to effect them for a change of our country.
So this particular attitude,
Yes, sir.
that full-time ministry is their work and their profession, their products, and with their service to man and to God.
Yes.
Is that possible in Nigeria too?
Absolutely, because this empowers everybody, and not just 1% of the population. So rather than just 1% of people doing whatsoever thing they think they are doing, right now this message that empowers everybody makes everyone go out there and to transform. So whether you're a cleaner, you're an educator, you're a teacher, you're a government worker. As a matter of fact, I wrote there that one of the biggest problems of Nigeria could even be the civil service, because people go to work every day waiting for salary at the end of the month, and how much they are putting into the work is not commensurate with what they are getting. So somebody could get a salary of perhaps say 200,000 naira, and what you have done all through the month is not even up to 50,000, because the motivation is not service to God, it's rather the money at the end of the month, and that was going to come to you anyways. So that is the way we have successfully, all of us, we have successfully destroyed our country and our continent. But now when we understand that when we go to work, it's not for money, but it's a service to God, then definitely it's just going to be easy. It's going to be a question of time. That will transform the entire nation.
So now the problem is how only about a few of you are here listening to these things.
Yes.
Will Nigeria ever get to hear this message?
Yes.
How? Huh? Through me.
It only took 12.
Media.
Through media and through us.
Okay.
It only took 12 disciples.
Okay.
Yeah.
Through disciples.
No, he said there were only 12 disciples.
Yeah.
We become the message.
Yes.
And everywhere we go, the message follows.
Okay.
And every one of us has also got a platform. We've got individual giftings and different, things we can do. So it's for us to internalize the message and bring it out in whatever things that we do in different ways.
Yes. And why I so much believe in that is that the communist China today, as wrought by Lenin, was brought forth by just 3 people. He sent someone there, and the person got 3 people, and today China is even more communist than Russia. So I believe we are so many here, and we can do even more.
Wow, revolution.
You are excited.
Yes.
So what do you say?
Yeah, we're definitely going to be able to use this, what Pastor is saying right now. We're going to be able to use it to touch Nigeria, to change Nigeria. The interesting thing that I noticed on Pastor's platform these few days is that I saw some certain people, they don't make comments. Yeah, these are people that fought so strongly when it was time to bring the president in. People who are known for having powerful voices on the media and all. I saw that, it will read, so and so is watching with you. So and so. Their names are not there. They are not making comments, nothing. But from that, I'm able to see. I almost wanted to say, you're here? I said, let me leave them. It's like they are tapping in and coming to check what is being said. And they are they know these things. Even those who are not born again, some of them are not born again. The Muslims are telling me, my parents just telling me, said, don't worry, we're in this. So it's like many of them are coming to check. That is telling you already that the word is spreading further than you know. It's not just those who are on the platform and you are saying. There are so many people who are checking to be sure that, oh, this is real. And if it's real, they are in there, full time. So this message is going to definitely get to even places that we least expect.
Absolutely, sir. This is the foundation of Europe. After the Second World War, Germany was totally out of it. And today, they are what they are because of this Protestant message. Very possible.
Okay. Thank you. Please continue.
Okay.
Colossians.
So, and whatever you do it heartily as to the Lord and not to men, knowing that from the Lord you will receive the reward of the inheritance, for you serve the Lord Christ. Colossians 3:20.
See, it is in the Bible.
Yes, it is.
That whatsoever you do. But we are not preaching this thing.
We quote it.
Eh?
We just quote it.
This is in the New Testament, though. But we should make it the core of our message.
Yeah.
That whatsoever you do with all your heart, as to the Lord and not to men. Knowing that from the Lord you will receive the reward of the inheritance. For you serve the Lord Christ. So that is what people should be doing their work. Through their services. They are doing to men, but really they must know that they are doing to God. That's the only way to serve God. That's Colossians chapter 3, verse 23 and 24.
The Protestants believed in the higher powers through the truth they derived from the Word of God. They got to know the truth, and that truth set them free. And they took the truth to the society and set their whole generation free. Just like today, the Protestants...
So the Protestants believe in the higher power. So they believe in the power of God. Like today we do. But our own prayer, our own power, believe in miracle and power of God today is for me. It's selfishness. We preach selfish gospel now. But the Protestants also believe in the power of God. But not just for their own good. Not just for their own healing and miracles. Not just so that their church, they will say their church is the most anointed in town. But they believe in the power of God to change nations. In the power of God for them to be able to do inventions. In the power of God for them to be able to come up with a new product. In the power of God for them to be able to, spread their values. In the power of God for them to be able to, do their best to serve God and people. In the power of God for them to be able to work better, to be able to serve better, to be able to become good workers. Those are the things they use the same power of God. What we call anointing now, that is what they use anointing for. Anointing to serve better, anointing to be more faithful, anointing to come up with new products, anointing to be able to serve God, because they were believing that they were doing everything for God. That everything they were doing for fellow men, they were doing for God. So they were using the power of God to be able to be more, to be better stewards in wherever they do. Yes, please.
Just like today, the Protestants and their teachings had to fight with the prevalent order of the day, which thought that...
Okay, so what were I'm now, in this article, I'm now taking you back to the challenges that they had. I told you already of their two challenges that the Protestant, what was the environment, the surrounding that they found themselves in. The reality they found themselves in was that of drunkenness, because most of the Protestant revolution was going on in Germany, Austria, Switzerland, but mainly in Germany and Switzerland. So those were German people mainly. So those German people were mainly lazy people and drunkards. So it was a big problem for them to deal with. But not only that, but the greatest problem that they had was with the general mindset of the masses. What was the general concept to work? Because that is why they were emphasizing work most. So it is the vice, the weakness that you detect in your society that you should hammer more on. If it is laziness you detect in your society, you should hammer more on that. So that is what they detected as the biggest problem of their own work that time. Laziness and the inability and unwillingness of the people to work. You remember I told you that the landowners couldn't get the people to work even for money. They were getting money, but they were not working hard. So that is what shaped their message that time. And that is why the core and centrality, the most important value that they emphasized was about work, work, work. They wanted to turn around that weakness of their culture. They wanted to change the mindset of their country. They wanted to overcome and overthrow that laziness, that indolence that was reigning in their society, and replace it with a new value system of dignity of labor and hard work. And that's what they did. So let's look at four main, apart from those ones I mentioned, four main challenges of that culture that they had to deal with. And you discover that the nature of youth men is still the same. And in Nigeria, we are still fighting the same vices. So we must restore values in place of vices. We must replace those vices with godly values.
Just like today, the Protestants and their teachings had to fight with the prevalent order of the day, which taught that 1. Work is only for making profit. 2. Make money with minimum effort. 3. The culture of the day viewed work as a burden to be avoided. 4. The secular world of the time taught that you should do no more than what was enough for good living.
So those four attitudes to work are still the same problem everywhere today, especially in developing countries. The number one problem was mentality they had, is that work is only for making profit. But the Protestants changed that and said work is for serving God through serving men. So you shouldn't look at work as only a way for making money. If you look at it as a way of making money, it means that you are allowed to screw people. You will be willing to defraud people, because the more important thing is the money. Yeah. Since the more important thing is the money, it doesn't matter what you do. And the better less work you can do, but the more money you can get. So if you are looking at work just as a way of making money, then you will not even do the real work. You just want to get the money to your pocket. The most purpose then, the focus of work was how to get money out of people's pocket to your own pocket, not the quality of work that you do. But the Protestant turned that around and made it to be, no, it is not the money that is important, but the service that you give. And how good that service is, that is how you are accepted before God. That's what they teach. That you are accepted before God depending on how good your product and your work and your service that you deliver it. They turn around that vice and to turn it to a virtue. Amazing. Amazing. Next one.
As we can see from this point...
No. Number 2. Okay, number 2, okay. The second vice that they needed to fight with was make money with minimum effort. Make money with minimum effort. Just like today, 419, scams, MMM, less effort, do fake. Sell cement for 1,000 naira and put the worth of 200 naira there. Only 200 naira and you get 1,000 for it. Just make most money with minimum effort. Do a little pretense that you have done work and ask for more money. Get the contract, tell them that it's going to cost $1 million and do something and say, it has increased, so market don't change. And it's now $3 million. When focus is money, how to get money from other people, not in dignity of labor and not in service to God. They used to have less effort just to be able to get more money. But now it was turned around by the Protestants. People began to say, you have to do your best. Do it so much that it will last for generations to come. Number 3, the culture of the day viewed work as a burden to be avoided. They used to look at work as problem. It's a pleasure that was reigning. Fun. Let's have fun. You know, there are some people up to now that are thinking like that. That on Monday, when they need to go to work, is tragedy to them. But Friday, they are just waiting for Friday to come. Thank God it's Friday, yeah. So it's the same mentality here that they used to have. That they view work as a burden to be avoided. And fun, pleasure as the real purpose of life. The Protestants changed that. They said actually it is the amount of work you do that determines how God accepts you or not. So people began to work, even if it's not work day. The whole place began to work like that. Number 4, the secular world of the time thought that you should do no more than what was enough for good living. That as long as you are surviving, as long as you are making it, so the purpose of their life was to make it, to survive, to to make a good living. So if you are still, just like today, the people that are being celebrated are the ones, the 419 who make good living. The R&B people who are dancing make good living. Those are the ones being celebrated. It doesn't matter how you make the money. Especially the drug traffickers, 419 people, scammers. The most important time that you are living big. They are the ones that were celebrated. But it is time, but those people made it and changed it around. That the people to be celebrated is everybody that is doing his work with all his heart. They brought dignity to all forms of labor. And it is not the money, not the end result is celebrated, but how hard you are doing the work. The process began to be celebrated more than the end result. It is how hard you are doing the work, the quality of the work that's celebrated, not how much money you have at the end of the day. They regarded money as only a reward. But the real work, the real thing, is what the quality of the work you've done. Okay?
As we can see from these points, the sinful nature of man is the same in every generation. Man naturally moves towards entropy. We are driven towards the carnal, mundane, and the mediocre. We need a higher power, force, and truth to deliver us from this entropic movement to self-destruction, and pull us higher to greater values. When work is viewed only as a source of economic gain, the centrality of work becomes self-indulgence, selfishness, and egocentrism. There's a great...
I hope they are not writing that they cannot hear.
No, it's okay.
It's okay. Because if next you could draw your share forward. Don't let the thing fall down. More. Okay. Start that again. As we can see.
Okay. As we can see from these points, the sinful nature of man is the same in every generation. Man naturally moves towards entropy. We're driven towards the carnal, mundane, and the mediocre. We need a higher power, force, and truth to deliver us from this entropic movement to self-destruction and pull us higher to greater values. When work is viewed only as a source of economic gain, the centrality of work becomes self-indulgence, selfishness, and egocentrism. There is a great advantage when work and economic gain is viewed from the perspective of moral and spiritual significance. Another very important aspect of the Protestant teachings is that money is simply a byproduct, a natural consequence, a compensation. It is never the goal. The quality of goods and services are always viewed as more important than the compensation. If I do my best and produce the best products, that is my purpose, then I shall definitely be compensated. The byproduct will come when the product is good. I think it will be interesting for us to know from what perspective the Protestants preached faith. They preached faith not as a means.
Let's stop from here.
Okay.
Bring it, please. Let's return the table here. Hello, everybody. I know it's been a long time coming. What I'm going to do right now, I'm going to ask people to open the windows and the doors, windows, everything, and I'm going to give us 5 minutes to go ahead and go to the restroom and go to the street and get fresh air, for yourself. And we are going to continue the broadcast. What I'm going to do, bring another chair also here. I'm going to call 2 people that you people already know. You know Anastasia McDonald and you know Pastor Nkiru. I'm going to call them to come and sit here. And while we go and get fresh air, they will be getting their own fresh air here too. But they will be telling you what is happening in the retreat here and what they are receiving, what they are thinking. Yeah, go everybody. And so Anastasia and Nkiru, come and sit. Now I'm telling people before we come for 5 minutes, 5 minutes break. Yes.
I've never really thought about it.
Okay. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Yes.
So we are in place of Pastor Sunday now. I get what I'm saying. So it's just too awesome here. We just want to tell everybody to find his way. Start making your way for the next retreat in April. HMT. Start saving now. Anastasia, I wanted to say Dr. Anastasia is my roommate, and I've been telling her how I wish I could just pack my load, just stay back, not going back. I have enough clothes. Even if I don't have enough clothes, I'll start washing every night just to drink from this well of wisdom, just to build myself, because here you have the push. Let me clean my face a little bit. Yes. It's too oily. Anyways, just to build myself, because the push is here. When you are there online, you're thinking everything is all right. You're thinking you've got it all. But when you come to the atmosphere that is really pushing you, you know there is another story. Yes. You heard the story of Caroline yesterday when she was saying that, because I videoed it, but I thought I've uploaded it, but I deleted it mistakenly. So in the first part, she was saying that she has packed her things and she's staying here for 6 good months. So you can imagine the kind of Caroline you will get in 6 months. I became somehow envious and jealous that I have children, a husband, I have to go back to, So if you have your way, even if you don't have your way, make your way. Make your way at least to be here. Plan to be here in April.
Yes, I'm coming
If
back.
you can come even without April, even maybe you have holidays before April, start planning. Because we can't even find enough words to describe to you what is happening here, what is going on inside of me right now. Because it's like you're being torn apart.
Yes.
Like I said yesterday, people know that I've written 3 books and I say, oh, you're doing very well and all that. But to me, it's like, I'm 44, okay? To me, it's just like running a race, 100 meters with 10 years old. Yeah, 10-year-old, 7-year-old, and I'm thinking that, I took the first position. But if I truly run with those my age, I will know that even if I come last, I still run faster, okay? Because I am running with the same people with the same muscle. So this is how we should put ourselves in an environment with people of the same caliber. The environment that will push you. You know how we squeeze orange juice from orange, right? It squeezes you and brings out every good thing in you. That is why you have to be here. Because when you stay here, even by watching Pastor and Pastor Bosse the way they live, it will get you thinking. It will make you know that you've just been existing, no matter what you've been doing before you come here, okay? So, Doctor.
Yes. Guys, I cannot tell you how much I'm so glad to have covered HMT. HMT is the boot camp. It is the real deal. It is, as Lady Nkiru said, it is the environment that really pushes or brings about the real development. I mean, I'm just so lost. So many thoughts are going through my mind. So many ideas for change, for transformation in my home, especially nationally, globally. I mean, so many thoughts are coming to my mind. I'm beginning to see what the kingdom of God is really about. I'm beginning to see what the kingdom of God is really about. The values, the ethics. My former way of thinking, I'm beginning to see God's mindset, especially when it came to talking about, the laws and the principles of God, and how, the laws of God are already in place in the earth. And all we need to do is to learn the principle of God and get working.
Yeah.
Enough of the praying. Right. Enough of the waiting on God.
No. You should pray, but, you should be balanced. You shouldn't spend all your day, praying with nothing to show. We shouldn't say we should not pray so that you don't misquote pastor. You should pray, but after praying, what next? After praying, what did you get from your prayers? Where are the fruits? Because we've been Christians for years, 20 years, 50 years, but we have nothing to show.
Exactly.
But today we have heard that we are taught that the dignity of labor is the thing.
Yes.
Okay? And not just sowing your seed and doing some other incantations that will make you work. If you don't work, you don't eat. Okay? When you serve at your profession, that is serving God.
Yes.
If you're a teacher, if you give the best, even I'm feeling guilty because there's some work that I do, just anyhow. If you give your best at your place of work, that is where you give glory to God. Yes. You know that quotation in Colossians 3:23. We all quote it, but we don't really do it. Where are we, the Christians? What are we doing to glorify God? That is your place of God, your place of work. Stop fighting to be a pastor, to be an evangelist, be an evangelist in your profession. Be a social evangelist by the way you do your own operation, and people, the whole world will be looking for you. That is where we serve God. That is where we show the God in us. That is where we create. If you're a scientist, start searching, start brainstorming. What can I do? What can I do? We stay together and we discuss a lot on a lot of things, I was saying that there was a time God showed me a lot of things I have to do. I know that I have not done any of them, doing just little. But I know that if you are in this kind of environment, you'll be squeezed enough to think, to become a thinker, to become a doer, not just, be listening to all those messages and all the time you're listening to messages. What are we doing with all these messages we've been listening to since May that Pastor started this live broadcast? He is doing his own. Our part now is to run with the message. At least, everybody should share this message right now.
Share.
All your groups, whichever group that you belong to, share the message. See,
WhatsApp, share on WhatsApp, Twitter, Instagram, all the social media. Go and visit all your social media networks and share. I cannot emphasize, share. Whatever medium you got, share. It will make a world of difference in many people's lives.
Yeah, because that is the little we can do now. Then later we have to listen to these messages again to get something that will become part of us so that we can run with it. Because if it's not part of us, we cannot give it out. We should start teaching it from, your neighbor. If you have a neighbor at work that you people usually discuss something, let it be the topic of your discussion. This way we start changing our environment. You don't wait for when you gather crowd to teach. We have to present the gospel in a way that is palatable, okay? In a way that is understandable to the masses, okay? Let us stop all this jargon about quoting this, quoting that. It's not the quoting that makes the word of God work, but the practical use. When you give people tips that are from the word of God, they will really it will make some sense to them, okay? Please, let's share these videos to everybody. Even some people that, especially because you see that this is not religious, this is not a church thing. Even those that don't believe in God, that are your friends, copy the link and share it to that person. When the person listens, he will find some meaning in this. Because we all together have to change the world together, and we have to start from our own environments, from the people that are connected with us, from the people that are somehow attached to us. Okay? when they see the name, thank God that pastor now is doctor. So, so people that are afraid of the name doctor, pastor, we connect with it, okay? So let's share and share and share until everybody gets it.
So I just want to say to you, by coming to History Makers, I now feel like a real change agent. Being practically here, doing the practical assignments, being, it's more like a boot camp, Christian boot camp. I really feel my mindset is just being overhauled to be, a change. And I can't wait, to go back home, to strategize on paper, brainstorm on paper, look at practical ways where I can begin to change my world. Now, it's not about my family, it's about the nations. Right. I now see myself as a global change, what's the word?
Yes,
global change agent, yeah. And that's why I come for HMT. So I'm so grateful that I'm here.
Yes, I repeat again, you must not wait till April.
No.
Save your money. If you have holidays now, can I share what you told me about work?
Yes.
How you got here?
Yes.
She told me that she had to go and get some quick job.
Yes.
That was stressing the hell out of her, just to save money to come here.
That's what I did. Yes, I did.
So if you're serious enough, find some job. I'm telling you, it is worth it. She said at the time she was exhausted. She said, I cannot do this anymore.
Yeah.
But she was saying, HMT is calling.
Yes.
HMT is calling.
Yes.
I must do this work.
Yes.
I must save this money.
Yes.
This is how she made the money to come here.
Yes.
So what is your excuse? Okay? Find a job that, if you don't have money, find a job that will make you to come here. Believe me, staying here just for a weekend, I know what people pay to all these motivational speakers. They will make some courses and do some other things. You pay them money. At the end of the day, you don't get anything out of it. Most of the things will just be a general talk that you see all over the internet. Most of the things are the things you already know. But here, just watching Pastor Sunday and Pastor Bosa and the children is a big lesson for you, okay? It's worth every stress that you take. So save money to come even without the HMT, to watch Pastor, to listen to him, and to see him not live but in person. His personality speaks, okay? So
I just want to I just want to tell you guys about making the sacrifice if you really mean business. So like Lady Nkiru said, I'm going to be real with you, and as I've been real with my life story, I got a job with Royal Mail as a casual Christmas worker, and believe you me, the work is not easy. It is very, very labor intensive. And I remember on day one, after the first shift, I was totally exhausted that I said, oh God, I'm not going back. Every time I had HMT. Every day I felt like walking up, but then HMT was the goal. HMT, I had to endure 3 weeks of labor intensive. I was totally exhausted in my body, my mind and everything, but HMT and coming to see my best mentor, Pastor Sunday Adelaja, made everything worth it. So if you really mean business, go get that job, whatever it is that you need to be here.
Let me tell you something. When my sister, our lady Anastasia, I know she's very famous, so when she came in, my phone was off. Who witnessed how Pastor greeted Queen Anastasia when she came? Nobody was there in that room. Pastor was on his knees to greet Queen Anastasia. Do you know what that means? That just shows you the personality of Jesus in somebody.
Honestly.
He said he was on his knees to greet Queen Anastasia.
And I got the best hug from my best
man. Can you imagine? I wanted to catch that on video, but nobody was fast. My phone was off because I just came in that night. So that shows you the personality you've been on life with for more than since May. Okay? It is not just, he has built himself to an extent. I say, and I'm repeating it again, that Dr. Sunday Adelaja and the wife, Dr. Bosa, I'm getting emotional now, are the physical Jesus that I'm seeing. You know, we all read about, I've never seen Jesus, so I read my Bible, okay? But these people, the way they treat me, some people will say, because you're her chief bridesmaid, it has nothing to do with that. He treats everybody equal. It doesn't matter who you are, but he knows that we all are made in the image of God, and that is why he gives himself every day here. 2 hours, sometimes it's never been 2 hours, 3-4 hours, sometimes 5. This period, almost half a day, for you to become human beings, for all of us to become human beings. So let's make the best use of it. save and come here. HMT, no HMT, find your way to Ukraine, okay? You know where to write. Whoever that is in charge, we put the links here where you will write, okay? Come and be changed. Come and become a better you.
Also want to say, I just want to say, I'm sorry, I have to say this. I've been a Christian for almost 30 years.
Right.
So I've been there, done it, got a T-shirt. And I remember the beginning of this year, the beginning of this year, I began to pray to God that God, please, and this is with no disrespect to any man of God or other, but I said to God, Lord, I want to meet, see, touch, feel somebody who really carries the presence of God, who's really Jesus. And like I said, this is with no disrespect to any man of God. And I used to pray that at the beginning of the year, I want to see somebody who encompasses Jesus in the flesh. That was the first prayer. The second prayer was that I want to belong to a community of believers that really, really love God. Now, if you've been a Christian for a long time, you will understand where I'm coming from. So I used to pray this casually. I used to pray it in my heart. Little did I know that God had heard my prayers.
Wow.
These were deep. I wasn't doing the shabo. No. These were. I've been there. I wasn't doing the shabo. Shoo, Christ, push, Spirit of God, shush. It was simply, Father, I want to see somebody who carries the presence of Jesus. I've been a Christian for 30 years. I haven't seen it. And that was the prayer of my heart. So the second was I want to meet a community of believers that really love God. Little did I know that God would answer my prayers through the ministry of Dr. Sunday Adelaja. I'm telling you, I have never felt, let me tell you something. For those of you that have been watching my love series, the emphasis I keep on making is that I've never felt at home because of what happened in my past. Home has never been a real thing. And all through my Christian years, I used to have this wandering mindset. I'm looking for something, but I'm not sure what I'm looking for. But the day that I joined Pastor Sunday's platform, I felt at home. I can't describe it. I feel part of a family, a good family, a kingdom family. And I know, Pastor Sunday, you don't like being called Papa or Mama. I don't do that, but I really see you as a father. Because because of where I came from, I kind of had this orphan mindset. Now I can see Jesus in the flesh. I know, like Lady Cruz said, the first time I came, Pastor Sunday went down on his knees for me. Who does that? Who does that?
No man of his caliber does that.
He just welcomed
you. Go on your knees.
He said, "This is your home."
Yeah.
And maybe he went on, but I hugged him because I knew this is Daddy. Daddy in the flesh. The representation of the Father was embodied in Pastor Sunday. So I tell you, my life cannot and it will not remain the same because of Pastor Sunday Adelaja. Generations, through me, generations will be touched. Because now I carry his spirit. I carry his anointing. I'm a reflection of my Father. I now know how to talk. Well, I'm learning how to talk, how to walk. My mindset was the biggest problem. The biggest problem with Will was my mindset. Now listen to Pastor Sunday's messages. It's just removing all the junk. Now I remember, was it two years ago, I got a prophecy that you're going to receive deliverance and all this, so on and so forth. So I thought it was going to be the traditional Jesus, and all that. But I've noticed that you're laughing. That is true. But I'm not seriously, guys. The more I sit under Pastor Sunday, I didn't know that deliverance could be so simple. It could be so subtle. It could be so in a loving manner. The way Pastor Sunday would talk to you, the way he would, his messages, I realized that deliverance is happening, that I don't have to shake or froth or fall on the floor and let somebody catch me because the Spirit of God is moving me. But just by being in his presence, see, that's why, guys, that is why I'm so passionate about the Father, son and daughter relation. Anytime I come here, that's the angle I'm going to come, because I never knew I had a father, but I didn't experience what it is to have a father. And even with my mother, it wasn't also. So to me, Pastor Sandy just embraces the father. If you want to know what Jesus looked like, this. Do you want to know how he talks? Do you want to know how he trains? Do you want to know how he believes? I mean, which person will let you sit here? This is Pastor Sandy's platform. But I'm sitting in his seat.
And you read Sunday on his nose.
You know? Just to let you know, privately, I asked, was it you asked whether I could sit on the throne?
Yeah, you asked me.
And you said yes. And I said, wow, that is not it. So, guys, I'm at home now. I've come home. And you guys are going to see a mighty difference. And for me, I'm forever changed. I'm settled. I'm settled. I never knew that. I've heard about destiny helpers and divine changes and all that. I thought it was, what do you call it? It was this airy-fairy thing. But now, I've seen it.
Let me add one last thing. Did all of you see how Pastor prophesied to Dr. Daniel last night?
Exactly.
Did you hear any God told me that you are going to do that? Just simple, just very simplicity. No mystics, yeah?
Mumbo jumbo.
Yeah, no mystical, everything was just very simple, just from the throne of God.
Yes.
And that is what he told us. All of us can act like that.
Amazing.
He is teaching us what he knows so that we will go there and perform the same thing. No laying of hands. We all believe that when the anointing comes, everybody should be on the floor. But it's not like that, okay? Pastor.
Thank you, Pastor Sandy.
Oh, wow. Okay, second part of our message. What did we call the message, by the way? Lessons on how to change the world from the early Protestants. Lessons from the early Protestants on how to change the world. Lessons on how to change the world from the early Protestants. Yeah. So, going to continue our class, our lesson. Frank, come and help us. Yeah. Show the people, let them greet. Let the congregation greet. Hello, come and lie down. Okay. You remember where we stopped?
Yes.
Please, about faith, right?
Yes. Okay, I'll just go back before I start. Okay. When work is viewed only as a source of economic gain, the centrality of work becomes self-indulgence, selfishness, and egocentrism. There is a great advantage when work and economic gain is viewed from the perspective of moral and spiritual significance.
Okay. So one thing that we have to change again in our teachings and our pulpits today, our messages today, is that we must teach our people, our congregations, that work is not just for economic gains. That we should not view work only as a means of economic gain. That economic gain, because that is what capitalism right now, today's capitalism, that's what they are teaching. That work is only for economic gain. But what God teaches is that work is more than economic gain. Economic gain is the second, third position, as a compensation. Work, first of all, is an opportunity to serve God. That message must change in our pulpits. That work is to serve God, to fulfill the will of God, number 2, and to serve humanity, number 3. So work is our opportunity to serve God. Secondly, to fulfill our calling. Thirdly, to serve humanity. And then maybe to have some salary and gain compensation for. But if it is regarded and viewed only as economic gain, then we all lose. Because that will lead to selfishness, that will lead to self-indulgence, that will lead to egocentrism, that will lead to exploitation of other men, that will lead to greed, that will lead to fraud, that will lead to tricks and scams. So we should change that message that we are preaching right now, that work is only for economic gain, to mean that work is first as a gift of God to man, to be able to serve him, to be able to serve fellow humans, and to be able to fulfill our callings, and then economic gains. The Protestants got that right.
Another very important aspect of the Protestant teachings is that money is simply a byproduct, a natural consequence, a compensation. It is never the goal. The quality of goods and services are always viewed as more important than the compensation. If I do my best and produce the best products, that is my purpose, then I shall definitely be compensated. The byproduct will come when the product is good.
You see, this my article here, I'm definitely going to develop into a book, because the whole world needs to hear this. Yes. Now, so another aspect of this early Protestant teaching is that money is only a byproduct, which I already explained. But it's also a natural consequence when you've done a good job. When you've done a good job, when you produce good quality products, you will be compensated by all means. Even if you are not charging for it, grateful people who are grateful for the quality you have produced will always bring something to you as their gratitude and as your compensation. So income, money, profit is a natural consequence for people who do quality work to serve God, to serve man, and to serve their own purposes. Their own goals. So the church message must change in our pulpits. That money is not the goal. That the goal is, are you writing the points? Money is not the goal. That the goal is service to God, to man, and to your calling. And that money will become natural consequence. Byproduct, natural consequence. So when you have quality of goods and services, you will have money. That you should just be sure of that. So if you do your best and produce the best product that you could, and the best service that you could, you fulfilling your purpose to God, to man, and to your calling. And then God will cause, not just God, even humans will cause your compensation, monetary compensation to come. But God will even cause more eternal compensation to come to you. Yep.
I think it would be interesting for us to know from what perspective the Protestants preached faith. They preached faith not as a means of personal gain or profit. The Protestants preached that through faith we can endure.
Now, that is a problem that we have today. The way we preach faith today is mainly for personal gains. The way we preach faith today must change. That's another thing we must learn from the Protestants. They didn't preach faith for personal gains. Their preaching of faith was, to endure, to pay the price, and to go through the process. Faith to be able to endure what they need to endure. Faith to be able to pass through what they need to pass through. Faith to be able to go through the process and get the end result and get the reward. But the way we have preached faith today is that faith is only for me. So faith for healing, faith for this, for prosperity, for this and that. Egocentric faith is what we are being preached today, and that we are preaching today. It must change if we want to change our world for God.
For example, I need faith to keep on working on my product. I need faith.
So I need faith to not to give up, because when you want to produce any product, it's hard work. It's a tough process to produce anything at all. So that is where people knew that faith is needed. That's where the need for faith is. To have faith that you get to the end. To have faith that you endure. To have faith that you will be persevere to the end. That is how faith works. That is the constructive faith. That is the productive faith. Rather than instant microwave faith that we are being preached today. That we are being taught today.
I need faith to give my best. I need faith to endure the process of production. I need
Can you start again, for example?
Okay. For example, I need faith to keep on working on my product. I need faith to give my best. I need faith to endure the process of
Because
production.
for you to give your best, you have another force pulling you back. The force of indolence. The force of, insolence at the end of the day. And the force of laziness. The force of the flesh that maybe you should just cut corners. Maybe you should just... So you need faith to really believe that at the end of the day you'll be rewarded. You need faith to really believe that you should give your best and it's worth it. That is what faith is for. Yes.
Okay. I need faith to give my best. I need faith to endure the process of production. I need faith to persevere. I need faith to pay the price of self-denial, of sacrifice, of repetition. I need faith to keep myself encouraged while I go through the hardship of labor.
You see, that is what faith is. And this is the kind of faith that we need to begin to preach in our churches today. Not faith for instantaneous reward. Not faith for, getting something for nothing. Not faith for, instant gratification. Not faith for, just giving money and sowing seed and things like that. It is faith for you to be able to do your best everywhere you find yourself. Faith that you believe that God will reward you. God will give you the strength to be able to endure the process, the difficult process of production of anything you want to produce. The difficult process of research. The difficult process of working hard. Like, for example, when I was in the university, I was coming after classes to the library, and I would sit there for 6 hours. And the biggest thought I needed to fight in me is that, is this going to be worth it? And nobody is saying this. Nobody is even going to reward me. Nobody is even aware that I'm doing this. But inside me, I just know that God knows. But I didn't know that apart from that, the fact that God knows, I was building some virtues. I was building some content of character. I was building some qualities into my being. That even without God, the fact that I was disciplining myself 6 hours for 7 years, for 6 years in the university, for 6 years, I was doing that 6 hours every day from Monday to Friday. It was changing me and I didn't know. So I was always fighting with the thought that, but nobody sees this. Will it pay off? Will I get a job even after I finish? Will it work? So that is where you need faith to know that hard work will pay you off. That endurance will pay off. That perseverance will pay off. That going through the process will reward you. That is what faith is meant for. And it also takes faith for you to persevere. To know that at the end of the day you get a crown. It also takes faith for you to keep on repeating. Repeating one and the same thing. Like what I'm doing now. I'm doing this daily broadcast, morning and evening. How am I sure that people will get it? That it's going to be worthwhile? I don't know. That's when you need faith to keep on going. I'm doing what I'm doing right now, HMT. How am I sure that you people will produce the kind of result that I'm expecting? No guarantee. That's where you need faith. This message that I'm preaching, that our pulpits must change, our messages must change in the pulpit. This message really is for pastors and churches. But here today, they are not even here to listen to me. I don't even know who is listening. That's where I need faith to believe that God will cause it to come to the right ears, and God will cause the right people to hear it, and God will cause that men will be quickened in their spirit to bring forth the fruits of it. I kill myself every day to be able to do what I'm doing. But that's why I need the faith. This is where faith is needed. Faith to sacrifice, faith to persevere, faith to endure, faith to let go, faith to lose yourself. But the kind of faith that is being taught to us today is faith for self-gain, self-profit, self-interest, self-egocentrism, selfishness. That message of pseudo faith must change to the faith of the Bible. Yes, please.
The Protestants preached that faith is necessary to planning. They encouraged their members and followers to see into the invisible world.
What is planning, and why is faith connected to planning? Faith, the Protestant knew that planning is seeing into the future. Planning is seeing the invisible. And that is faith. Faith is the ability to see what other people are not seeing. Faith is the ability to see into the invisible realm. Faith is for you to see the better future of Nigeria in the next 30, 20 years, 10 years that nobody believes in. But you believe so much that you have faith, and that faith is causing you to sacrifice today. That faith is causing you to work hard right now. That faith is causing you to plan for the change to come. That faith is causing you to see the invisible and to plan for it and to work to bring it to pass. That's the kind of faith that we need today, unlike what we have been taught. Yes, please.
The Protestants taught their followers that faith is needed for hard work because every hardship on its own discourages. Hence, you need faith not to be discouraged.
No. Go back again and start that paragraph again because you jumped something.
The Protestants preached that faith is necessary to planning. They encouraged their members and followers to see into the invisible world.
Invisible world.
Yes.
Future. That's what faith is. Future. But the faith where, I tell my American friends, I used to have a lot of American friends, pastors and preachers, the big guys. You call them the big guys. But now, thank God, I set myself free from them. And I also used to have a lot of African friends, pastors, big pastors. But I always used to tell them, each time you meet big men of God, you expect them to be discussing how to win the world, how to subdue the world, how to use whatever they have to change the world. Everybody is talking about what property they are buying, what expansion in their building they are doing, what land they are getting, what members, how their church, what branches they are having, their members, they have grown, how many people they have, how much budget they have, how much offering they are gathering, when are they going to buy the next plane and everything. So I kept on telling them, you use your faith to buy your plane, or use your faith to buy your next building, use your faith to buy your next suit, and use your faith for suit, for building, for property, for membership. But I want to use my faith, and I'm going to use my faith to subdue nations. Yes. This is the kind of faith that the Protestants had. They used their faith to change their generation and to change the world up to now. We need to go back to that kind of faith. Not faith for jacket, not faith for tie, not faith for suits, not faith for flashy cars, not faith for airplanes, not faith for properties. And even though those things could be there, you need those things, but you don't need faith for that. Unbelievers buy plane and properties and tie and suit without faith. Let's rather use the power and energy of faith to do the impossible.
Amen.
To change nations, to subdue kingdoms and to bring tyrants in governments to their knees before the King of Kings. Let's use our faith to do the impossible, not the ordinary. Then faith will be worth it. Let's read that again, please.
Okay. The Protestants preach that faith is necessary to planning. They encouraged their members and followers to see into the invisible world. They taught their adherents to plan into the future and believe that they are able to bring to pass that which they have envisioned. The Protestants taught their followers that faith is needed for hard work because every hardship on its own discourages. Hence, you need faith not to be discouraged. The faith you have keeps you going and makes you to pass through the valley and the mountain top. The Protestant church today need to borrow a leaf from their actions. We need to preach the gospel not just from the aspect of selfish gains and profit, but from the kingdom perspective, whereby we strive to build the kingdom of God through each believer on the earth as it is in heaven. The European Protestants credited their values to teaching that evolved from the teachings of Martin Luther. Before then, the Catholic Church had presented to the believers a doctrine of back doors, where an individual who might not be living quite to the Christian standard could still have an assurance of salvation by taking the sacrament, and even in death, the relatives could buy him out of hell and get him a place in heaven through indulgentia. That type of doctrine gives birth to a lifestyle of back doors, cutting corners, getting something for nothing. The consequence? Europe went through a very bad period of her history, both politically and economically, known as the Dark Age. There could be no development, talk less of civilization, in such circumstances. There are no shortcuts to any place worth going, says Beverly.
I will not say too much about the shortcuts because I've preached about it this last week. Instant gratification, I preached a lot about just before the new year. But the messages we are preaching today also has to change from the messages of shortcut, quick fix, microwave gospel into the gospel that we are seeing here, the message of faith. Yeah.
Europe was set free largely thanks to the Protestant Reformation that began to teach that believers don't have any assurances to salvation through the back doors. According to the teachings of Martin Luther, John Calvin, and their colleagues, sacraments do not get you salvation anymore, and indulgentia could not get your relatives out of hellfire. You now must live right and straight.
Even though we are no more doing indulgentia or something like that, but we still do it in a different way. People are still giving gifts to pastors so that they will get favor from them. People are still having special seats in the church. People are still being viewed and respected by the amount of tithe and offering they bring. People are still, backdoor policies are still in churches. Go ahead.
This teaching from the Protestants made the believers to sit up and work out their salvation on a daily basis. Then the Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to tend and keep it. Genesis 2:15. John Calvin and his teachings.
So that's what they taught the people.
Yeah.
Instead of just getting favor through the pastors, teach every member to go and cultivate their own territory, their own land of promise. To go and tend their land of promise and keep it. Yes.
John Calvin and his teachings in Geneva placed a decisive role in spreading the spirit of capitalism or Protestant ethics. The cardinal point of his teaching, his doctrine of control by conscience, led to rigorous honesty in the daily lifestyle of the believers.
So they preached a strong holiness message that was, we will say it as extreme today, that they must live by conscience. You must walk consciously, conscientiously, just as to God, not to man. Very strong. So we must also teach people to have conscience before God, to begin to live by their conscience again, rather than by what the church is like and by eye service to churches and being accepted in the congregations and by pastors.
John Calvin and his adherents taught that any form of waste must be frowned at because people gave their lives to earn whatever they possess. This, of course, led to the view that luxury is a sin. The Calvinists did not believe in bringing all their money or worldly wealth to the church as the Catholics did. They were supposed to use it to do more good to their fellow men and the community. These Protestants discouraged donation of money to the poor because, according to them, that could rather lead to beggary and laziness.
So they didn't want, they totally erased, before, during the times of Catholics, before the Protestants came, church was like a beggarly place. Just like you see around the mosques. In mosques, you see that a lot of beggars go around mosque because they said they should do mercy, they should do merciful things. So churches were like that just before the Protestants started. Catholic churches were like that. So poor people were always going to beg. Beggary was eliminated in Europe thanks to the teachings of Protestants. They say you have the image of God in you. You shouldn't be looking up to somebody to help you. You shouldn't be begging another human being. You are the image of God. You are good enough. Even if you are blind, you can still do something.
Yes, sir.
Because you still have hands. Even if you are lame, you still have eyes. Even if you are blind, lame, and deaf, everything, you still have brain. They make everybody to be productive and for everybody to be respected. So they discourage other believers going to just give welfare and help to people. But even if I'm going to give you help, tell me what you can do. For example, if you come to me and say, Pastor, I need to pay for my school fees, I don't know what to do, they will ask you, what can you do? What do you know to do? Oh, you say, I know how to do here or something like that. Okay, come and be doing here for the whole year for my wife. That will cost you $2,000 for your school fees. I will pay you now, but you have to walk it through. Or for example, you know how to write. Okay, that's what I'm doing for a lot of people now in Ukraine. I'm giving them my books to help me write them, to help me turn them into books, and I'm paying them money. So you know how to write. Okay, you don't want to. You don't have money for school fees. Write the books. I'll pay you. You pay your school fees. So that is how they change that mentality that somebody has to give me something. Even if it's your parents, even if they are your brothers, your family, you still have to. Your dignity, your worth is proving that you discover. It's not because you are working for the money, but you are discovering yourself and your potential and your gift, and you are becoming capable by the things you do. But when you are beggarly, your capacity and your potential are being buried. They are being put down. You are not being helped. So they eliminated begging from the streets of Geneva first, and then all over Europe. Go ahead.
Okay.
Read that again. These Protestants?
These Protestants discouraged donation of money to the poor because, according to them, that could rather lead to beggary and laziness. According to them, a man is not supposed to be a burden to his fellow man. Neither should he be a nuisance to God by not working.
Can you believe it? A burden to fellow men and a nuisance to God by not working. We need to return that to the church. But today, the message that is being preached is rather that, somebody will call you. So you'll find something in your account. Your account number is this. Money comment or miracle money. Or, they will just they just make you to be lazy and useless. Through those teachings that they are doing today, we need to change them and bring real gospel, real biblical teaching, like the Protestants did.
2 Thessalonians 3:10-11. For even when we were with you, we commanded you this: if anyone will not work, neither shall he eat. For we hear that there are some.
It's biblical.
Yes.
That's biblical. If you don't work, you shouldn't eat.
For we hear that there are some who walk among you in a disorderly manner, not working at all, but are busybodies.
So the Bible is against busybodies. Scripture is against busybodies. And the Protestants took this to the extreme. They will not even allow you to give money to anybody to help any other person unless they are working for it. But then it brought about industrialization and the civilization we have today. That you hardly see beggars now, up to now. That's about hundreds of years ago that this revolution took place. But up to now, the evidence are still everywhere. It brought about, because they used to have beggars all over Europe. It brought about, it cleaned the street, brought about civilization. Everybody became productive. Amazing, huh?
Amazing.
I think I tell us some another some IT post so shene. Another country Lazare. Yes, please.
In their teachings, when you fail to work, you fail to glorify God. The preachers laid a huge emphasis on savings that could eventually lead to investments. That gave a huge boost to the development of new economy in Europe, banking, industrialization, and so on.
You see, they laid a lot of emphasis not on trivialities and frivolities of, just spending anyhow, but they say you should go. Before, the Catholics were preaching that bring all your wealth to church, just like our people are preaching today. We need to change that, because they say bring all the money to church, all the, what do you call it, warehouse, or what do you call it? Storehouse. Bring all the tithe to the storehouse, yeah. So something like that, that's what the Catholics were doing. Bring everything, and they thought the church was the only place with storehouse. But when the Protestants came, they said, no, don't bring anything here. Why should you come and give us the burden to do the good work? You are a Christian. It's you who are supposed to use your own money. Use your own money with your own conscience to go and do good works. And then save. They tell people, save your money and use it to create wealth. A system of wealth for the next generation. The righteous leave it inheritance for his children. They teach all those things and say, do saving, practice savings. Build banks, build financial institutions. And that is what led to the explosion of banking industry and financial industries in Europe. So before, when the Catholics were there, it was the Catholic Church that was getting rich. The church was getting rich, and people were getting poor. But the Protestants turned that around and said that, no, you go and use your money to take care of your family. Build generational wealth. Build industries, build systems, use your money to accomplish your calling. Go and use it to till your land, to cultivate your promised land, to discover your gifts, to use it to fulfill your callings. Build industries, build this. And instead of the church only being rich, people being poor, the people all started being rich. And that is how that poverty was eliminated in the society. But up to now, the Catholic Church still has a lot of that work up to now. But the Protestant brought the prosperity. That's why up to now, if you look at the countries of Europe, the poorest countries in Europe are still the Catholic churches, the Catholic countries. But the countries that are Protestant, they are the richest. Because of the teaching, this particular teaching that I'm telling you about now. Okay.
This led to mass productivity and production.
No, start from the beginning of the paragraph.
All right, sir. In their teachings, when you fail to work, you fail to glorify God. The preachers laid a huge emphasis. In their teachings, when you fail to work, you fail to glorify God. The preachers laid a huge emphasis on savings that could eventually lead to investments. That gave a huge boost to the development of new economy in Europe, banking, industrialization, and so on. This led to mass productivity and production in the economy. Industrialization gave birth to wealth for an average man. Today, however, most people are forced to work either for survival or to fulfill their greed for money. Whereas the Protestants wanted to work to please God and to serve man. Aristotle says, pleasure in the job puts perfection in the work. It is these values that were later transferred into the United States of America, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and other countries and continents where the descendants of these European Protestants were scattered. Everywhere the Protestants and their descendants went, They took with them these same teachings and they got the same results. A developed economy and an advanced and civilized society, a generally more prosperous nation.
Because same values were taken there. So it is values that grow a nation. Yes.
Let's examine some of the gains of the Protestant ethics and teaching that we all still enjoy today. 1. Industrial Revolution.
So one of the gains of I want to give you 8 gains of that, so that you know what early Protestants were, what the Protestant teachings were all about. So let me tell you about the gains, so that you will know how important these teachings were, and why we celebrate these early Protestants, and why these early Protestant teachings must be repeated by us. Because if their teachings brought about this kind of results, we need to get back to that teaching so that we may be able to produce similar results as well. 1.
Industrial Revolution.
So have you ever heard of Industrial Revolution?
Yes.
Even if you've never heard, you are enjoying Industrial Revolution now. And that is one of the gains of Protestant teachings. 2.
A civilized society.
Civilization. The civilization that we are all enjoying now is, in fact, is called the civilization of the Protestants, or Protestant, or European civilization. It came from the Protestants. Yep.
A developed system of economy.
How many of you still know that Europe is developed? Europe is developed.
Yes.
That is also an offshoot of that is the direct result of the Protestant teachings. And definitely America is an extension of that, because the European Protestants went to build that. Australia, the same thing. The descendants of these Protestants went to Australia and repeated the same thing there. They went to New Zealand and repeated the same thing there. Canada repeated the same thing there. South Africa repeated the same thing. Anywhere there is development today, apart from Japan. But Japan sent their people to Europe when they started seeing this, and took their values. That's the result.
Number 4, a total detachment from superstitions and magic mentality. You work for what you want instead of hope for miracles.
That is one of the things in Europe. You see that in Europe they don't live by superstitions or expectation of miracles. That is one of the things we must do in Nigeria, in Africa. Until we get deliverance from superstitions and a constant expectation of miracles from God, instead of depending on our own efforts, we would never see civilization and development. So we need deliverance from superstitions. Yes.
Number 5, a closer relationship between mathematics and observation.
Science, mathematics, and science and mathematics, observation, that is research, science, mathematics became the craze of because everybody wanted to, discover what they could create for God and something like that. So that is what we need to do too. We need to make everybody, our youth, to be crazed, not about R&B, not about, I went to Nigeria, if you go to Nigeria, every time you do the television, somebody is dancing and jumping, and these are the heroes, they are all singing, they are the ones being celebrated. It's a disgrace. It's a national shame. When people who can just jump, the only credit they have is that they can jump up and sing. If that is the only thing that human beings can do, then let's just go and all have our own zoo park. Human beings, the reason they are human is because they have brain. Use your brain to create something. And that's what we're able to do. But in Africa, we are still using natural instincts, like dancing and jumping, and that's what we are celebrating. It's a shame. It's a shame. Any country that is celebrating just music, entertainment, they will never see development. Because those are just instincts, you don't need brain. And some of those who are the richest in our countries. It's a big, big shame. That culture must be replaced. And even in churches. a big chunk of the churches is people just dancing about, and you see them dancing, as if it's not church anymore.
Yeah.
And some of you are involved in that. Some of you are involved with that rubbish. Joining some praise and worship to do this, and you are just doing those things automatically. You don't have brain. You don't use brain there. You don't come. Just some cultures that are regressive. If you want to praise God proper in your own house.
Yes, sir.
Worship God on yourself, on your own house by yourself. The one you are doing in church is just for show.
Yes.
Mainly for show.
Yes.
If you see some kind of dance in churches there, it will even chase unbelievers away forever. And those are the things we are celebrating. I mean, in fact, there are some churches that cannot have church unless there is praise and worship. If you are not dancing and you are not singing, there is no church that day. Shame.
Number 6, an enhanced value of scholarship and education. Number 7.
So that's another thing that is the gain of Protestant teaching is a strong emphasis on education and scholarship. That scholarship means not scholarship that they give you money on. This scholarship is talking about being studious, being educated, not just education. Education is one thing, but status, people in this status that is presented to people who are well read, that is scholarship. You status, all people who are respected in society are not the people who are carrying Bible and telling everybody about miracles. Because in our churches now, in our countries now, the people who are respected are the miracle workers. But scholarship are the people who are supposed to be respected. We need to change that order.
Number 7, a higher emphasis on rational systemization of governance and administration.
You see, we should go away from politics of shout. I mean, the other day I was watching campaign. They were campaigning, in Nigeria, APC and PDP. I was looking at them, only noise, rubbish. Nobody is telling me what are the logic of the things we are going to do. I'm not seeing statistics. I'm not seeing figures. I'm not seeing everybody just bringing some dancers and some singers to just make noise, and these people will come and take microphones. This one is bad. That one is bad. This one will be good. On what basis? So that is what the Protestant brought. Logical rationalization into politics, rather than emotions and screams and sentimentalism. Yes.
Can you repeat the point?
Please.
A higher emphasis, that's number 7.
Yes.
A higher emphasis on rational systematization of governance and administration.
So politics is based on rationalization, systematization, and administration. System, structure, rationals, logics. Yeah, not emotions, sentiments, and just prejudice. Yes.
Number 8, an increase in entrepreneurship.
These are all the gains of Protestant teachings. And these are things we must target as well today. Our teachings, Christian teachings in our pulpits, must target these things. Not just quoting some scriptures that are just geared towards people's emotion, for people to say, Amen! The louder people shout amen, the more consent we get, the more satisfied the pastor becomes. Hallelujah! Hallelujah! That's the height of the service. Screaming. Just reduce people to animals. Human beings. Deprive them of any reasoning at all. Because it's all gospel of selfishness and egocentrism, self-gain, and self-profit. instead of real values that can bring about results. We must start a campaign, a holistic campaign, to promote these values rather than the rubbish we call church today.
Yes. If the modern Protestant churches must maintain her place of relevance in the society, we would need to review where we missed it. How have we diverted from the teachings of the Protestants? Of course, I realize that the Protestants denominations of the world have grown and matured over the years, but maybe we should not throw away the gains of the old Protestants that brought us to our modern day civilization. For those who are anxious and eager to regain the lost glory, for those who want to raise up a new generation of Protestants that will be capable of bringing reformations to their nations and societies, for those asking the question, where do we start? I wish to give you a list of the core teachings of the early Protestants.
Now, the list of 8 points that I just gave you, those were not the teachings, those were the results. Those were the results in the society. Now, I want to give you the teachings that gave birth to these results. What they taught, what exactly did they teach in their churches? What values did they emphasize? We know the values that we emphasize today: breakthrough, miracle, healing, blessing, prophetic declarations, word of knowledge, deliverance, sharp, quick. So what are the things that the Protestant taught that brought about the civilization and the modern world that we have today?
One, they taught about the equality of all before God. Every person is equally valuable, either behind the pulpit or as a laborer in the construction site. We all are carriers of God and His image. We can all contribute.
So that is why they didn't allow people to be giving some people money, to be helping other people. That's why they didn't encourage other people to look down at other people as weaker than them. You know, even if you are better now than any other person, you are supposed to do your best to raise them up and make them also as good as you, so that nobody is worse than anybody. That's one of their teachings. Everybody is good enough. But in our churches today, it's almost like a caste system. The pastors and the ministers are respected, they are honorable, but ordinary men, you are just human beings, you are just subjects. But we are all sons of God, daughters of God. We are all equal before God, really. And we are all capable of doing things. And that's what should be restored. Everybody can contribute. Everybody is gifted. Everybody is endowed by God. And our own duty, we who are leaders, is to help unveil and unravel that endowment that everybody has got, so that they will be able to maximize their own potential, so that everybody will believe in themselves, and so that everybody will come to maximization of the potential that God has given unto him, and everybody will actually be able to act as the image and the likeness of God. Those are the kind of teachings, and those are the kind of value system that we want to generate in people that we are teaching. Not just to make them be thinking that they are nothing, to be saying, telling them that only God can do this, only God can do that, without God cannot do. You know, we just make people useless, thinking that they cannot do anything. But here, these people were teaching that no, you can do, every one of you can do anything. If anything, every one of you can contribute, because all of you are carrying God's image and likeness. That message must be restored back to our pulpit today. Yes, please.
Number 2, they emphasized the dignity of labor.
I already explained that to you a little bit. Dignity of labor means that every work is honorable. Every form of labor is dignified. And every form of work must be respected. Everybody through work is glorifying God. That's why you must respect what he's doing. And everyone that is doing any kind of manual job or anything like that must be happy and proud that he's doing his best, because by doing his best where he is, he's giving a holy sacrifice to the Lord, and God is being glorified through him. He's serving God in his own capacity where he is, and God's name is being glorified because he's doing his best to God, to man, and to his calling. Dignity of labor. It's not your salary that determines the dignity of your labor. It is not how much you are being paid. It is not the occupation you have. It is not the position you have. It is the fact that you are serving God with your best. It's because it's the fact that you are doing your best with where you are. That is what brings your dignity. You are doing your best. You are serving God with the abilities God has given you. That is what brings dignity. Not the size of your pocket, or the size of your purse, or the size of your salary, or the prestige that the society, attached to your position. Any position has dignity, because everything you are doing there is glorifying God. Next one, please.
Number 3. They emphasized the principle of justice and equality in the distribution of wealth. They strongly believed in the fact that he that does not work should not eat.
Yes, we already spoke about that. That everybody must be productive. That's what they taught. Everybody must be productive. They believe that God has given everyone the capacity to be productive. You should not become a nuisance. That's what they taught. They saw that no human being should be a parasite to another one. Every human should be encouraged and empowered to glorify God through the works of his hands. Yes, please.
Number 4. They believed that the principles of the kingdom virtues, values, and morals of the Bible must not remain just in the church. They must be a part of the structure and the building blocks of the society.
Like today, many of our churches, we are only practicing what I call domestic holiness. Holiness only when we are in the church. I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't sleep with women. But then I could alter figures or money. I could cheat, I could deceive, I could tell lies. At work, I could do everything everybody else is doing. Because everybody is corrupt, because the whole country is corrupt, so it's allowed. How can you be having salary officially of $200 and then you are having a house that is costing 200 million US? And you are a Christian. And you say, it's God, it's God, it's the blessings of God. Miracle, it's God. It's the favor of God, breakthrough. You are using everybody's money, you are doing business contracts and doing things in wayward way, the way everybody is doing it. But the way they said, the way the Protestants taught is this, that your holiness is not what you do in church. Your holiness is how you conduct your affairs on a daily basis. So your holiness is not measured by what you do in church, or how you present yourself in church, but in how you deal with your businesses on a daily basis. At work, in the society. That is true holiness. Go ahead.
Number 5. The Protestants taught that the law comes from Zion, and that righteousness must be at the basis of the nation, government, and society in general.
So the Protestants believe that the Christians are the ones who should be doing the laws, who should be responsible for enacting laws. So the city of Geneva, that was the basis of this experiment, was being ruled by the preacher of the land, John Calvin. He was the ruler of Geneva. So, and everything that he was teaching is what the government has to enact. So that is how they believe. They believe that Christians must take the values of the kingdom not just to be practiced in church and in their homes, but they must go and practice it and make it judicially established as well. And make, the values of righteousness, holiness, dignity of labor to be expressed in the whole system of government. That is, Christians must be in politics. And Christians must be the light of political life. And that Christians must be the ones who are the head and not the tail. and that the Christians are the ones who are, releasing laws, and the laws that are in the land are coming from Zion. But they are not going there as Christians. No, they are going as citizens. But they are Christians, people who have Christian values. So they are professionals where they are. And they are being elected because they are the best. And they do the best. They are the best. They are not going there because we are just Christians and, no. But because they have the values. And they are proactive. They don't run away from politics like people do today and say that it's dirty. So who will clean it up if it's dirty? Satan will come and clean it, or the ones who are already dirty will clean themselves. They say no, but it's darkness. So who will bring light? God said that you are the light of the world. So God will come and save it. How? It will become man again. If it's dirty, go clean it up now.
Number 7. They thought that everybody has a calling, and that calling is not in the four walls of. Number 6. Number 6, sorry. The Protestants strongly advocated the integrity of your words. They believed that your yes must be yes, and your no must be no. They thought that it is better to lose your life than not keep your word. It became the basis for contracts, business, and commerce.
Wow. So contracts and all that were just formalities for them. Integrity. That's why up to now in Switzerland, Geneva is in Switzerland, is one of the countries that is with the highest level of integrity in the world. By banking industry, because of the culture that was cultivated at that time. Trust and integrity. That the whole world started taking their money there. They don't have any raw materials, no raw materials, but all the money from all the world was rushing there. Like I said the other day, money will always go from corrupt countries to the countries that don't have corruption because they want their money to be safe.
Number 7. They thought that everybody has a calling, and that calling is not in the four walls of the church, except you are part of the clergy. Your work is your calling. Your profession is your service to God and to man.
That is clear enough. We already mentioned that. Go ahead.
Number 8. Ministry is not only meant for the clergy. Every believer is a minister. However, they minister everywhere they find themselves on daily basis. At work.
Not in the church minister. Yes. Everywhere. Especially at work.
At work, family, everywhere. Number 9. The Protestants thought that money and wealth is a byproduct of diligence, sacrifice, hard work, faith, and passion. Number 10.
So the Protestant thought that money is a byproduct. So emphasis should never be on money. And you should never worship money. That's how they fought the god of Mammon. So that people don't worship money. It's a byproduct. But byproduct of what? It's a byproduct of hard work. It's a byproduct of diligence. It's a byproduct of sacrifice. It's a byproduct of faith and passion. So what they mean that you will always have money if you are diligent. Be diligent as much as you can and money will come to you. You will always have money if you could work with sacrifice and able to sacrifice, not just do things anyhow, but sacrificially, you will always have money. Number 3, you will always have money if you work hard. Diligent is number 1, and number 3, work hard. Money will always come to the hard worker. Then next, you will always have money if you work with faith and persistence. And you will always have money if you work with passion. Those are the things they spoke about. Yeah?
So, number 10. Yes? Number 10? Okay. The Protestants taught that the secular work is as sacred as the clergy. Hence, you do everything as unto the Lord, and whatsoever your hands find to do, you do to the very best.
So serving God, work to them is at the same thing as fivefold ministry. Your work, your secular work, is like full-time ministry for you, ministry work. So you do everything as unto the Lord. Yes, go ahead. So those are the doctrines. Those are the 10 main doctrines that they taught. And those doctrines must come back to our church today. Those emphasis must come back if you want to have the same result that they got. Development and civilization.
I am sure that there might be people who might wonder why Pastor Sunday is taking his time to do all these researches and write all these articles. Well, my reasons are not far-fetched. I come from a continent that is widely regarded as the dark continent. Having lived in Europe for close to 30 years, more so having been graced by God to have lived, work, and teach mainly white Europeans, American, Australians, Canadians, and so on, I think I might just have what it takes to help my continent. Moreover, having been privileged to consult and speak in parliament and to the governments of some of the leading countries in the world, it will be a waste if I don't contribute my quota and do my best to help rescue my continent from that backwardness and darkness that Africa is largely agonizing in at present. It is my deep conviction that any person or nation can successfully duplicate any achievement that a person or nation succeeded in attaining. I am sure that Africa and other economically backward countries that are sometimes referred to as third world countries can attain a very high rate of development much faster than the time it took Europe and other first world countries. Colin Powell says, "A dream doesn't become reality through magic. It takes sweat, determination, and hard work." No doubt, there are 1,001 possible factors for development and advancement of any nation or continent. Yet, I think this, my submission today, could definitely go a long way in contributing to the development of my beloved continent, Africa, and other third world nations of the world. For the love of God, church, and nation, by Pastor Sunday Adelaja.
Okay, guys, here we are. That's the end of the message today. I don't know if there is need for us to hear your comments. Yeah, there is need. You want to contribute? Okay, what should we do, guys? Let me ask our friends on Facebook. Should I put it off now, or they want to hear what's going on? I want to hear you people on Facebook. Do you want to hear our discussion? You want to interaction? We want to have interactive session now. Do you want to be a part of it, or I should put the thing off? I should put the live broadcast off, or I should continue broadcasting? John say no way. Keep on rolling. Wow. Okay, what we are going to do, all of you that feel that this teaching has done something to you, that something is going on in your mind right now, in your heart right now. By the way, before we continue, I want to challenge everyone to go ahead and share the link. If you have not yet shared this link, please go look for this link and go and share it, please. The link is here, but it's just under your video. If you look at a button, you must have a button there that says share. So let's go and share the link, please. Go share the link to this video, please. Look under your video, you see the link. Let's go and share the link, and go share the link. So once you finish sharing, and when you are sharing, write something, write some comments, what you think, why you think that people should watch it, and why you think that it's important what we are talking about. So go share it and write some comments on it. Meanwhile, I want you people to just tell me fresh from your heart, what is going through your mind right now? What are you thinking right now? And we are going to just make you stand up where you are, and we are going to, please go ahead. Just stand up where you are and begin to talk.
Praise God. My name is Bella from Tenuku. And I don't know what's going through my mind is that in my life,
Louder.
Okay, in my life, I never thought that I would hear a church say something like, the secular world is as important as the clergy. Like your secular job is as, and then, I don't know, the first time I heard it, like just now, it's struck a nerve. And then after that, I got to thinking, I was like, it's not like they are saying that the work of God in the church is not important. It's just that the work of God should not be limited to the church. Do you understand? So it's like, instead of looking at it from the mindset of, or reducing the way you relate with God, or reducing the way you, do God's work, you should think about it as integrating God's work, like integrating the word, bringing God out of the church and into the world. Because a lot of times, ministers, we talk about integration, yeah. A lot of times, ministers talk about how they don't want the work of God to end within the four corners of the church. But then, unconsciously, that's exactly what we do. Because we leave the church and we're like, oh, okay, I'm going to preach to people I meet on the street, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to... But then, you never actually think about it as applying these values. You never, okay, I could be in church and then I take what I learned from church and I'm like, oh, I could give it to somebody else, maybe my roommates, maybe my, my friends. I could talk to them about it. But I never, when I'm in school, I would never have the mindset of anything God related, because I'm just like, okay, this is a different aspect of my life. One has nothing to do with each other, or one has nothing to do with the other. But if it's integrated, then God is everywhere.
The kingdom of God will be everywhere.
Exactly.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Wonderful. Excellent. Good thinking. Depth. Beautiful. That is integrating the kingdom with the earth. That is integration. And that's what Jesus came for. In Colossians, it says he came to unite both the heavenly and the earthly. The celestial and the earthly, he prayed to make it to one. He said so that the two might be one. Integration. That's what you are experiencing. What's going through the mind of every one of you?
Okay, personally, at the point I really got emotional about this, because myself and a lot of people in this generation, the gospel has actually gotten eaten deep into us, that even in our daily lives, we see it oozing out. And I'm going to use this for an example. I'm sure many of us heard of the Akwa Ibom church collapse, yes. 10th of December. And, okay, the governor that attended that, the house collapsed like 30 minutes into the church service. And the governor was saved, and some people that were saved. And there was something I noticed on social media. Some people that were in the church, or that maybe didn't come to church early or something like that, they were writing, thank God for saving me from this. And the bitter thing is, do you know the number of people that died in that thing? That's one of the problems when we were talking about the individualistic mindset that is not global. But with this, the Protestant teaching, you find out that they were being global about whatever they were doing, not individualistic. And this is exactly what one of the problems that the new message now has done to us. Most of us want to do things for our own self. Look at people go for maybe their plane crashes or something. People are excited that, oh, I was 1 minute late to the whole thing. That was why I was saved. then imagine the lives that were lost. Instead of us to think of how, this was a problem. What caused this? How can I be a solution to this? How can I be someone that can bring a solution to what actually occurred? And that brings us back to the excellence of labor. If we can go back to the roots, how we can be excellent in whatever we are doing, of our houses, whatever it is,